1,000 years of human history hide more than lost cities and forgotten empires. They hide objects that defy everything we think we know. Carved stones with impossible precision. Artifacts found in layers of earth where nothing human should exist. Tools, symbols, and devices that seem to whisper of civilizations far older or far stranger than our textbooks allow. Tonight, we follow the trail of 22 such discoveries. Items so out of place, so violently at odds with accepted history, that they challenge the very timeline of our species. So settle in, look closely, and let's step together into the shadows where the past refuses to stay buried. High above the plains of ancient India, beneath the vast expanse of sky, the Sanskrit texts describe chariots of fire, vehicles of the gods that soared between realms. Known as Vimanas, these enigmatic crafts appear in the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and other ancient texts, not as mere poetic imagery, but as detailed accounts, often described with astonishing technical specificity. Some are said to shine with metallic luster, powered by unknown energies, capable of incredible speeds and maneuverability, and sometimes even engaged in aerial battles. The descriptions invite imagery both extraordinary and precise. One passage speaks of Vimanas rising into the sky with a humming roar, leaving trails of light behind them. Another recounts the ability to vanish from sight or to descend from the heavens in a controlled manner, as though physics itself had been temporarily suspended. The texts catalog measurements, shapes, and even interiors, multiple chambers, cabins for operators, and mechanisms that resemble modern propulsion systems. Archaeologists and historians often approach these accounts cautiously. To many, Vimanas are mythological constructs, allegorical symbols, or the imaginative interpretations of advanced ancient technology lost to time. The ancient Indian civilization was unquestionably sophisticated, with advanced metallurgy, astronomy, and architectural achievements, so the idea that they imagined intricate flying machines is not entirely implausible. Some scholars suggest these texts were allegorical, describing the power and glory of rulers or illustrating moral and spiritual lessons, rather than literal instructions for flight. Yet the detail is striking. In the Samarangana Sutradhara, a 12th century Sanskrit manuscript, one finds meticulous descriptions of mechanical contraptions and aerial devices. The text even includes diagrams resembling multi-tiered structures, powered by mystical energies which the author insists can lift into the air. For some researchers, this is more than metaphor. It hints at technologies that, while lost to history, may have once been conceived in human imagination, or perhaps even in practice. Outside the realm of conventional history, alternative interpretations abound. Some theorists suggest Vimanas were early aeronautical vehicles, perhaps using principles of propulsion and energy unknown to modern science. Could ancient engineers have experimented with forms of flight using metals, chemical reactions, or even magnetic principles? Others speculate on more speculative notions: cosmic influences, extraterrestrial intervention, or a forgotten branch of human ingenuity capable of feats that modern science is only beginning to grasp. The intriguing part lies in the way these accounts blend the mundane with the extraordinary. Vimanas are often described in ways that align with known geography and social structure, traveling between cities, carrying royalty, and participating in battles. But the descriptions of propulsion, speed, and aerial maneuvering stretch beyond conventional explanation. Some passages even hint at energy weapons, devices that could create blinding flashes or piles of fire on impact, raising further questions about the technological imagination of the era. Despite the allure of these speculative ideas, there remains a lack of physical evidence. No verified remnants of Vimanas have been discovered, no archaeological proof of ancient flight hardware exists that can be definitively linked to these texts. Yet the fascination endures because the descriptions are persistent, consistent across centuries, and geographically widespread in the Indian subcontinent. Temples, carvings, and inscriptions occasionally echo the shapes of these supposed machines, suggesting that the concept was deeply embedded in cultural memory. What makes the Vimanas particularly compelling is the way they straddle two worlds, the historical and the extraordinary. On one hand, they are firmly rooted in texts, traditions, and ancient lore. On the other, they evoke the realm of science fiction, modern aerospace, and the limits of human imagination. The gap between what is historically verified and what is fantastically described creates a space where curiosity thrives, a place where questions outweigh answers. Perhaps the true mystery of the Vimanas lies not in whether they actually flew, but in what they reveal about the human mind and its capacity for invention. Were these detailed accounts merely storytelling, inspired by celestial observations and metaphorical visions? Or do they hint at technologies or knowledge that has been lost to time, waiting silently in forgotten texts, waiting for discovery? As we contemplate the Vimanas, the sky above ancient India seems a little different, charged with possibility, with the echo of something seen long ago and yet unseen by modern eyes. The questions remain open. What if the ancients glimpsed a truth we have yet to fully understand? And if so, what other secrets of the skies have we overlooked in the pursuit of progress? The answers, like the Vimanas themselves, seem to hover just beyond our grasp, suspended between myth, history, and imagination. From the soaring mysteries of ancient India, we now turn to a far-off land, Mexico, where, beneath layers of centuries-old soil, an object emerged that continues to puzzle historians and archaeologists alike. In 1933, during a routine excavation at the Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca site, workers uncovered a small, unassuming terracotta head buried among the ruins of a pre-Columbian settlement. At first glance, it seemed just another artifact, a fragment of daily life in an ancient city. But as scholars examined it more closely, they realized that this piece defied expectations in ways both subtle and profound. The head, only a few inches tall, is finely detailed. Its features, a long, narrow nose, deep-set eyes, and a sharply defined jawline, bear a distinctly European style, reminiscent of Roman portraiture. The craftsmanship is meticulous, suggesting that the artist possessed both skill and familiarity with a cultural aesthetic far removed from the Americas as they were known at that time. The terracotta has survived the centuries remarkably well, preserving the facial expression and subtle modeling of the hair, giving the impression of a living presence frozen in time. Carbon dating of the surrounding strata placed the head firmly in the 1st century AD, centuries before the widely accepted arrival of Europeans in the Americas. This temporal context immediately raised questions. How could an artifact so clearly European in design appear in pre-Columbian Mexico? Conventional explanations offer several possibilities. Some suggest the head might have been a later intrusion, perhaps dropped into the soil through accidental means or buried during subsequent periods of European contact. Others propose that the dating might be flawed, or that the artifact was misidentified, and its European resemblance is coincidental, a quirk of artistic style converging across cultures. Yet the more one examines the evidence, the more perplexing it becomes. The head was found deep within layers of undisturbed clay, surrounded by pottery and remnants of a local culture that had no known contact with Europe. If contamination had occurred, one would expect other European artifacts to appear alongside it. But none were found. The context, the stratigraphy, and the meticulous excavation records all point to the head being genuinely ancient, an anomaly that seems to challenge conventional timelines of human interaction and migration. Some researchers have proposed more speculative interpretations. Could the head hint at transoceanic contact long before Columbus? Was there an unrecorded journey across the Atlantic, bringing Roman or Mediterranean influences to the Americas? Or might it suggest that ancient societies were more interconnected than we have been taught to believe, their exchanges lost to history? Each hypothesis invites both intrigue and caution. None are fully proven, and all exist at the edges of what archaeology can comfortably assert. The Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head also draws attention for what it does not tell us. Unlike a coin, a shipwreck, or a written record, it offers no narrative, no inscription, no story beyond its silent presence. It is a fragment, a whisper across time, asking us to consider possibilities without providing closure. In its stillness, it challenges the notion of linear history, reminding us that even well-studied civilizations may harbor anomalies, traces of encounters or ideas that never made it into the mainstream record. Interestingly, the reactions among experts vary as widely as the theories themselves. Some dismiss the artifact as a curiosity, an odd coincidence in the grand tapestry of pre-Columbian archaeology. Others regard it as evidence that demands further investigation, a clue that could reshape our understanding of early human contact and cultural diffusion. And still others embrace the uncertainty, suggesting that the very mystery of the head is its most valuable lesson. History is rarely as straightforward as it appears. As we ponder this small terracotta figure, it is difficult not to let imagination drift. One can picture a skilled craftsman shaping clay with tools long since lost, unaware that his work would one day emerge continents away in a world unfamiliar with the culture he represented. Or perhaps, somewhere in the distant past, human hands from across oceans brushed against one another in ways we are only beginning to imagine. The Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head does not demand a single answer. It invites us to look deeper, to question the assumptions of chronological isolation, and to consider that fragments of a larger, unseen narrative may still lie buried, waiting for discovery. What if this small head is a remnant of a journey forgotten, a silent witness to events unrecorded by history? What other artifacts might yet emerge, quietly reshaping our understanding of ancient civilizations and their connections? In its quiet presence, the Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head lingers as a mystery, a tangible yet elusive reminder that the past may hold stories far stranger and more complex than we have dared to imagine. And so, as we continue our exploration of anomalous artifacts around the world, we carry forward a sense of wonder, a cautious curiosity, and the recognition that history is not only a record of what we know, but also a map of the questions we have yet to answer. From the quiet enigma of the Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head, we now journey across continents and millennia to the banks of the Nile, to a temple whose walls have guarded secrets for thousands of years. The Temple of Hathor at Dendera, a monumental complex carved from stone and adorned with intricate reliefs, has long captivated archaeologists and travelers alike. Its grandeur, the precision of its columns, and the elaborate astronomical ceilings are remarkable on their own. But it is a particular set of carvings within the temple that continues to draw intense curiosity, the so-called Dendera Light. Within a dimly lit sanctuary, a series of bas-reliefs depict what appear, at first glance, to be elongated bulb-like shapes suspended from the ceiling. Each bulb is connected by a tube-like structure to a larger serpent, coiling within a rectangular box or vessel. To some observers, the imagery strikingly resembles a modern light bulb, a filament, a glass envelope, and even an electrical connection. The reliefs are precise, detailed, and unmistakable in their form, suggesting that whoever created them had a clear concept in mind, whether symbolic, functional, or something else entirely. Scholars of Egyptian art and religion offer explanations grounded in the context of the temple. Many assert that the carvings are symbolic representations of creation myths, divine illumination, or the power of the gods. The bulbs might be lotus flowers, the serpents representing cosmic energy, and the tubes merely artistic devices to convey divine life force. Within the rich symbolic language of ancient Egypt, even the most peculiar shapes carry layered meanings, an interplay of theology, cosmology, and ritual practice. Yet the resemblance to electrical devices is hard for some to ignore. Unlike typical Egyptian iconography, these reliefs evoke questions about technical knowledge, seemingly far beyond what is otherwise documented. Were the ancient Egyptians depicting something tangible, something they had observed in the material world? Or were these purely metaphorical images, deliberately crafted to inspire wonder and convey spiritual truths? The ambiguity is part of the fascination, and part of what has kept researchers returning to Dendera for decades. What adds to the intrigue is the context of the temple itself. Dendera is not just a ceremonial site, it is a repository of knowledge, astronomy, and precise architectural engineering. Its ceilings align with celestial events. Its walls chronicle centuries of religious and astronomical observation, and its sanctuaries contain numerous depictions of the gods' interaction with the earthly realm. Within this environment, the Dendera Light is not an isolated anomaly. It exists alongside depictions of ritualistic instruments, celestial maps, and mythological narratives, all of which speak to an advanced culture deeply attuned to both spiritual and observational knowledge. The mystery deepens when considering the physical possibilities of the relief's depiction. Some speculative theories suggest that the Egyptians could have been aware of basic electrical principles, perhaps using primitive devices to produce light. Others propose that the reliefs represent advanced energy concepts, lost to history, or even forms of knowledge deliberately encoded in religious imagery. While there is no concrete evidence that ancient Egyptians generated electricity, the precision and ambiguity of the carvings invite us to wonder how much knowledge has been lost to time and how much of it might have been encoded in ways we have yet to interpret. Beyond scholarly debate, the Dendera Light continues to inspire modern imagination. Engineers, historians, and curious minds alike have attempted to reconcile what they see in stone with the technologies of today. Some have reconstructed models based on the reliefs, imagining glass enclosures, filaments, and energy conduits. Others focus on the symbolic interpretation, emphasizing the Egyptians' unique ability to convey complex ideas visually, using mythological imagery that transcends literal explanation. In both cases, the fascination lies not in certainty, but in the space between the known and the unexplained. Like the Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head before it, the Dendera Light exemplifies the delicate interplay between observation and interpretation. It is an artifact that does not demand a single answer. Instead, it challenges our assumptions about what ancient civilizations knew and how they chose to encode that knowledge. The reliefs whisper across millennia, inviting us to consider the ingenuity, creativity, and perhaps even forgotten technological insight of a culture long vanished. As we examine these carvings, one cannot help but reflect on the nature of mystery itself. Are we witnessing purely symbolic artistry, a profound expression of divine power and cosmic understanding? Or are we glimpsing a fragment of ancient technological insight, a testament to human curiosity and experimentation that history has largely overlooked? The Dendera Light does not reveal its secrets easily. It lingers in the shadows, suspended between myth, art, and the possibility of something more. In the silence of the temple, beneath layers of stone and centuries of devotion, the question remains: what other insights might ancient civilizations have encoded in their monuments, waiting for patient observers to uncover them? And if a civilization thousands of years ago could inspire images that echo modern inventions, what does that suggest about the depths of human imagination? and the histories we have yet to fully understand. The Dendera Light shines not in illumination alone, but in the enduring mystery that surrounds it, casting questions as vivid and enduring as the carvings themselves. From the carved reliefs of Dendera, where stone seems to echo with the possibility of lost technology, we turn now to the rugged plains of Mesopotamia, to a palace that once belonged to the Assyrian kings. In the ruins of Nimrud, near the banks of the Tigris River, archaeologists uncovered an artifact that, though modest in size, has sparked centuries of curiosity and debate: the so-called Nimrud lens. Discovered in the 1850s during excavations of the palace of Ashurnasirpal II, the lens is a piece of rock crystal roughly 3 inches long and shaped with remarkable symmetry. Its surface, though worn by millennia, bears subtle curvature and polish that suggest it could have been used as a magnifying device. The artifact is small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, yet its precision is striking. Whoever shaped it possessed not only skill but a deep understanding of the properties of light and refraction. For many scholars, the Nimrud lens is seen as an example of Assyrian craftsmanship, a decorative piece, perhaps a ceremonial artifact, or even a lens used for artistic purposes, such as engraving inscriptions or creating intricate carvings. Ancient Assyria was renowned for its technical sophistication. The construction of monumental palaces, aqueducts, and military machinery demonstrates a civilization capable of astonishing feats of engineering. Within that context, a polished crystal may simply reflect the advanced skill and artistry of the Assyrian craftsman. Yet the lens's characteristics raise questions that linger beyond conventional explanations. Its convex surfaces are smooth and symmetrical in a way that implies intentionality, suggesting it could focus light or magnify images. Experimental testing by modern researchers has demonstrated that, when properly oriented, the lens can enlarge inscriptions or concentrate sunlight to create a faint burn on organic material. Could such a tool have been employed for observation, scientific experimentation, or even optical communication? The possibility that the Nimrud lens was functional rather than purely decorative is tantalizing. Alternative interpretations extend even further into speculation. Some theorists have suggested that the lens might have been part of an ancient telescope or optical instrument, a device that could bring distant objects into clearer view. A remarkable thought when one considers that telescopic optics were not widely known until millennia later. Others propose that it might have served in ritualistic or symbolic contexts, a way for the Assyrians to manipulate light during religious ceremonies, imbuing divine imagery with a literal radiance. Each interpretation raises intriguing questions about the intersection of technology, art, and belief in the ancient world. What makes the Nimrud lens especially compelling is its context. Found among jewelry, ivories, and intricately carved reliefs within the royal palace, it is not an isolated artifact. The Assyrians were meticulous record keepers and innovators, and yet few other objects of similar optical precision have survived or been identified elsewhere in Mesopotamia. Was the lens an experiment in craftsmanship, a one-of-a-kind object whose purpose has been lost to time? Or does it hint at a broader but largely unrecognized understanding of optical science in the ancient world? The artifact also challenges modern perceptions of technological progress. When one holds the lens and rotates it under light, its potential function is immediate and intuitive. It is difficult not to wonder how many other discoveries, tools, devices, and insights were conceived by ancient civilizations, only to vanish as empires fell and knowledge was lost. The Nimrud lens serves as a reminder that ingenuity is not confined to the modern era, and that artifacts can quietly challenge assumptions about when and where humans first began manipulating the natural world for practical ends. At the same time, caution is necessary. Without definitive records, without inscriptions that describe its intended use, the lens exists in a space between evidence and conjecture. Archaeologists can document its shape, measure its curvature, and speculate based on experimental reconstructions. But the true purpose of the Nimrud lens remains a question mark. And yet, it is precisely this uncertainty that makes it compelling, inviting scholars, historians, and curious minds alike to explore not just the object itself, but the culture, knowledge, and creativity that produced it. One cannot help but reflect on the broader implications of such artifacts. If a single polished crystal could reveal knowledge of light and magnification in the first millennium BC, what other aspects of Assyrian science or technology might have been lost entirely? How many tools, techniques, or discoveries remain buried beneath the ruins of ancient cities, waiting to challenge our understanding of history? The Nimrud lens, in its quiet elegance, does more than suggest a practical function. It serves as a testament to human curiosity, skill, and the enduring mystery of civilizations whose knowledge has been partially obscured by time. As we examine the Nimrud lens, we are reminded that history is rarely linear. The lens does not demand a single interpretation. It invites us to ask questions, to consider the depth of human ingenuity, and to reflect on the fragments of knowledge that survive against the odds. What secrets did the Assyrians unlock in their palaces and workshops? And how much of that knowledge has yet to be rediscovered, patiently waiting in the dust of ancient civilizations? In the stillness of Nimrud's ruins, the lens reflects more than light. It reflects the enduring enigma of the past, a whisper of possibility that continues to captivate and intrigue. From the meticulous polish of the Nimrud lens, which hints at an ancient understanding of optics, our journey moves across oceans to the dense, humid jungles of southern Mexico. Here, amidst the fertile plains of Veracruz and Tabasco, rise the Olmec Colossal Heads, monumental sculptures carved from single blocks of basalt, some weighing over 20 tons, each more imposing than the last. Their presence is immediate and commanding: broad faces, flat noses, full lips, and deep-set eyes that seem to gaze knowingly across millennia, as if observing a world that has long since forgotten their makers. Excavated from the earth over the past century, these heads are remarkable not only for their size, but for the craftsmanship and resources required to create them. The basalt used to sculpt them originated miles away, quarried from volcanic formations, and transported through difficult terrain without the benefit of wheeled vehicles or draft animals. The precision of the carvings, expressive features, intricate headdresses, and careful symmetry speaks to a society with both extraordinary artistic skill and social organization capable of mobilizing labor and resources on an immense scale. Scholars generally agree that these heads represent rulers or elites of the Olmec civilization, which thrived between 1500 and 400 BC. They are often interpreted as commemorative portraits, symbols of authority, or religious icons. Indeed, the Olmecs left behind a complex cultural record, ritual sites, ceremonial mounds, and a distinctive artistic style, all suggesting a society with spiritual, political, and economic sophistication. Within this framework, the colossal heads can be understood as emblematic, monumental representations of human power and divine presence. Yet the heads evoke questions that extend beyond conventional archaeology. How, precisely, were these immense stones transported across rivers and rough terrain? Some heads rest tens of miles from their source quarries, a feat that would require ingenuity, coordination, and possibly technologies lost to time. Were simple rollers, rafts, or manpower sufficient for the task, or did the Olmecs employ methods we cannot yet fully comprehend? Even more intriguingly, the faces themselves display features and expressions so individualized that some researchers suggest they may portray real individuals, capturing nuances of personality, rather than idealized forms. Could it be that these are not merely symbolic figures, but the literal likenesses of leaders, frozen in basalt for eternity? Alternative perspectives have arisen over the decades, some speculative, others more investigative. Certain observers have noted that the head's features diverge from what might be expected given the region's indigenous populations, leading to discussions about cultural influences and contact. Were these depictions purely local, or do they hint at an aesthetic shaped by interactions now lost to history? The heads also prompt questions about Olmec engineering. How did a society without known metal tools manage to carve and polish basalt with such precision? Experimental archaeologists have tried to replicate the process, using stone and wooden implements, and though partially successful, the sheer scale and refinement remain difficult to reconcile fully with the evidence of the time. Beyond the technical and anthropological mysteries, there is a deeper, almost haunting quality to these figures. The heads are positioned deliberately within ceremonial centers, aligned in ways that suggest cosmological or ritual significance. They are silent, yet commanding, evoking presence, authority, and perhaps even guardianship. When standing before one, it is easy to feel the weight of centuries, the lives of those who shaped the stone, and the stories that have faded from memory. The heads speak not in words, but in their enormity, their gaze, and their meticulous detail, inviting reflection on the capabilities and ambitions of a civilization that existed long before written records fully captured its history. Some researchers have speculated on connections that reach beyond the Americas, noting parallels between the Olmec style and distant artistic traditions, a theory often debated and largely contested, yet intriguing in its audacity. Could the heads reflect a broader human impulse toward monumental representation, or are they part of an enigmatic narrative lost with the Olmec themselves? The truth may lie somewhere in between. The heads are unquestionably products of an advanced society, but the full extent of their meaning, method, and inspiration remains just out of reach. What is particularly compelling is how these statues continue to challenge assumptions about the ancient world. In an age before metal tools and wheeled transport, the Olmecs created works that dwarf many of their contemporaries, not merely in size but in technical sophistication and emotional resonance. They compel us to rethink what is possible in the absence of modern technology and to recognize that ingenuity is not a linear process confined to documented history. The colossal heads embody knowledge, skill, and perhaps even ritualized understanding that modern eyes can glimpse but not fully decipher. As we contemplate these monolithic figures, the question remains, what else did the Olmecs know? What other feats did they accomplish? And what stories have been lost beneath centuries of earth and jungle growth? The heads stand as silent sentinels, guardians of a past that is both familiar and profoundly mysterious. They challenge us to imagine the lives, the society, and the world that produced them, and to consider how much of human history lies just beyond the reach of certainty, waiting to be rediscovered. In their gaze, we are invited to wonder, to reflect, and to acknowledge that even in the presence of monumental achievement, the past can retain its deepest secrets. From the silent, commanding gaze of the Olmec colossal heads, our journey now takes us to the heart of the Indian subcontinent, to a site where history and metallurgy converge in a singular, enduring enigma. In the Qutb complex of Delhi, amidst ancient ruins and the shadows of towering minarets, stands the Iron Pillar, a monolithic shaft of metal that has defied corrosion for more than 16 centuries. Its presence is understated yet profound, a slender, towering column of wrought iron, nearly 7 meters in height, with a diameter that gradually tapers as it rises, culminating in a rounded, polished finial that glints softly in the sunlight. The iron pillar was originally erected during the reign of Chandragupta II, around the 4th century AD, yet its resilience astonishes engineers and metallurgists even today. For centuries, the pillar has stood outdoors, exposed to monsoon rains, humidity, and the relentless passage of time, without significant rust or structural degradation. Its very survival raises immediate questions. How was such a large iron structure forged, transported, and erected with the technology available at the time? And more intriguingly, what secrets might its composition hold that allow it to resist corrosion in a climate that would swiftly consume ordinary iron? Scholars have long examined the pillar, documenting its inscriptions, written in Brahmi script, that dedicate it to the Hindu god Vishnu. The texts celebrate the achievements of the king who commissioned it, while subtly hinting at the advanced skill of the artisans and metallurgists involved. Analysis of the iron itself reveals a surprisingly high phosphorus content and an absence of sulfur and manganese, unusual traits that appear to contribute to its exceptional resistance to rust. Modern metallurgists have studied the pillar extensively, attempting to replicate its properties, yet its durability remains difficult to reproduce even with contemporary technology. Some historians suggest the pillar was primarily symbolic, a testament to the king's power and the technical prowess of his kingdom. In this view, the metallurgical ingenuity may have been an intentional demonstration, an artifact designed not merely to last, but to impress, to awe, and to convey the permanence of authority. The precision of its construction, the careful tapering, and the polished surface all reinforce this interpretation. Yet these explanations, while compelling, do not entirely dispel the sense of wonder. The pillar is both a work of art and an engineering marvel, and its endurance feels almost improbable given the limitations of the era. Alternative perspectives invite further speculation. Could the iron's corrosion resistance suggest knowledge of chemical processes that predate recorded understanding? Did ancient metallurgists stumble upon techniques for creating protective passivation layers, using empirical methods that anticipated modern science? Some theorists even propose that the pillar's placement and design might hold astronomical or geomantic significance, aligning with celestial events or reflecting sacred principles of geometry and energy. While these ideas remain speculative, they underscore the fact that the iron pillar is more than a simple monument. It is an artifact that bridges technology, spirituality, and the enduring curiosity of human creativity. The construction of the pillar itself remains a marvel. Forged from individual iron blooms, each carefully hammered and welded, the entire column was raised without modern lifting equipment. Scholars debate the methods. Ramps, scaffolding, and teams of laborers may have been employed, yet the precision and scale continue to challenge conventional assumptions. The pillar's smooth surface, free from significant imperfections, suggests artisans with remarkable skill and knowledge, capable of manipulating metal with patience and foresight that surpasses expectations for the period. Equally compelling is the philosophical resonance of the pillar. It stands not only as a technical achievement, but also as a symbol of endurance and permanence, a tangible link between human endeavor and the passage of time. Its silent presence invites reflection on the ingenuity of ancient civilizations, whose knowledge, skill, and artistry could produce objects that endure far beyond their creators' lifetimes. How many other technological insights, lost to history or unrecognized, might have existed in parallel with this remarkable iron structure? As we observe the iron pillar, questions multiply. Was it purely a demonstration of skill, a ceremonial tribute, or a technological experiment whose principles have yet to be fully understood? Could there be undiscovered methods or materials, encoded in its very composition, that reveal an advanced understanding of metallurgy long before such techniques were documented elsewhere? And beyond its physical properties, What does the pillar tell us about the people who conceived it, their ambitions, their knowledge, and their vision for permanence in a world defined by impermanence? The Iron Pillar of Delhi does not answer these questions. It embodies them. It rises from the earth as a testament to ingenuity, a silent observer of centuries of human history, and a reminder that even the most ordinary-looking objects can carry extraordinary mysteries. In its unyielding presence, it invites us to wonder, to imagine, and to recognize that the past often holds secrets far more sophisticated and more enduring than we might expect. As we continue our journey through the anomalies of human history, the pillar reminds us that mastery, vision, and mystery can coexist in a single artifact, standing resolute against the passage of time and the erosion of knowledge. From the unyielding iron of Delhi, a testament to human ingenuity and endurance, our journey now moves eastward, across vast landscapes and centuries, to the rolling plains of Xi'an, China. Beneath the earth lies an army frozen in time. The terracotta soldiers, thousands upon thousands of life-sized warriors, each poised as if ready to defend an emperor long departed. Discovered in 1974 by local farmers, these figures were part of the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, China's first emperor, whose vision of eternal protection manifested in a staggering display of artistry, labor, and perhaps knowledge that transcends what we might expect from the 3rd century BC. At first glance, the soldiers seem uniform, rows upon rows of infantry, cavalry, and chariots, arranged in battle formation, the sheer scale of the army both breathtaking and overwhelming. Yet, as one examines the figures closely, the illusion of uniformity dissolves. Each warrior is uniquely modeled, with individualized facial features, expressions, and even hairstyles reflecting rank, region, and ethnicity. The meticulous attention to detail extends to the armor, weapons, and stances, all capturing motion and purpose in clay. Even the inscriptions on some weapons and the traces of original paint hint at a civilization capable of sophisticated manufacturing and artistic planning on an unprecedented scale. The craftsmanship of these figures raises immediate and enduring questions. How did artisans of that era create thousands of complex figures, each distinct, without modern tools, assembly lines, or industrial processes? Scholars suggest modular techniques in which different body parts were crafted separately and assembled. Yet the integration is seamless, precise, and resilient. The clay itself, carefully selected and fired at controlled temperatures, has allowed the statues to survive more than 2 millennia, though the paint that once adorned them has largely faded. The level of technical knowledge required, from clay selection to kiln control, implies a system of production far more advanced than previously assumed for that time. Beyond technique, the terracotta soldiers evoke deeper enigmas. Their scale, organization, and sheer volume suggest a central authority capable of mobilizing extraordinary resources and labor. How were artisans, laborers, and engineers coordinated over decades to produce this underground army? The logistics alone, quarrying clay, transporting materials, constructing massive pits, firing thousands of figures, reflect not just imperial ambition, but a society capable of extraordinary planning and technological application. And yet, despite centuries of study, much of the process remains speculative. What methods were employed to ensure uniformity without sacrificing individuality? How were the kilns operated and maintained to produce consistent results across thousands of figures? Some theories extend into the speculative realm, prompted by the figure's lifelike quality and scale. Could these soldiers have served a purpose beyond ceremonial protection, perhaps as symbols of cosmic or metaphysical order, embodying principles of life, death, and authority in physical form? Were there hidden techniques lost to history, methods of firing, modeling, or assembling clay that would rival modern craftsmanship? the Terracotta Army may reflect more than artistic ambition. It may represent a confluence of science, art, and ritual, a society experimenting with processes that stretched both imagination and technology to their limits. The context of the mausoleum itself amplifies the mystery. Beneath the surface, massive pits and subterranean chambers were meticulously designed, with careful attention to drainage, ventilation, and structural integrity. The layout suggests a vision not only of an army, but of a carefully organized microcosm, a reflection of imperial power and cosmic order. How much of this knowledge was empirical, learned through trial and observation, and how much was guided by ritual, belief, or philosophy? And if some techniques or principles are lost, could remnants exist elsewhere, waiting to be recognized in other ancient contexts? Even the materials themselves hold secrets. The clay, tempered and fired with remarkable consistency, indicates a deep understanding of chemistry and thermodynamics long before formal science existed. Traces of pigments hint at a once vibrant palette, suggesting artisans were adept not only in sculpting but in painting, achieving colors and finishes that have endured, however faintly, across millennia. The integration of these multiple skills, sculpture, painting, metallurgy for weapons, logistics, points to a society whose capabilities we are still struggling to fully comprehend. As we contemplate the terracotta soldiers, one cannot help but sense the human presence behind the figures, the laborer's hands, the artist's intent, the planner's vision. The soldiers are frozen in action, yet their arrangement, diversity, and precision communicate far more than mere representation. They embody a culture's understanding of authority, mortality, and the afterlife. Each figure, unique yet part of a larger whole, challenges our perception of what was technologically and artistically possible in the 3rd century BC. The terracotta soldiers leave us with open questions, much like the monuments we have encountered before. Were they purely ceremonial, or do they hint at forgotten processes and knowledge of production, organization, and materials? How many other ancient societies possessed comparable techniques that have simply vanished from history? And perhaps most intriguingly, what does this army tell us about the human drive to capture power, presence, and permanence in material form? In the quiet pits near Xi'an, beneath centuries of earth and silence, the soldiers stand vigilant, a testament to skill, imagination, and ambition. They are simultaneously ordinary and extraordinary, revealing both what humans can achieve and how much remains beyond our understanding. As we move forward in our exploration of anomalous artifacts, the terracotta soldiers remind us that the past is layered with ingenuity and mystery, waiting to be uncovered, and that even the most complete empires can leave behind questions that endure far longer than their builders. From the meticulously crafted terracotta soldiers of Xi'an, each figure embodying precision, individuality, and purpose, we now turn westward to the ancient cities of the Indus Valley, sprawling across what is today Pakistan and northwest India. Among the streets, baths, and granaries of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, archaeologists uncovered small yet profoundly enigmatic objects, the Indus Seals. These compact, often rectangular pieces of steatite, typically no larger than a modern business card, are covered with intricate symbols, depictions of animals, and occasionally human or anthropomorphic figures. Despite their modest size, they radiate significance, offering tantalizing glimpses into a civilization whose written record remains largely undeciphered. The craftsmanship of the Indus Seals is striking. Each seal is carved with remarkable precision, often featuring motifs of unicorns, elephants, rhinoceroses, and mythical beasts, combined with strings of symbols etched in meticulous detail. The animals are not mere decoration. They convey character, posture, and sometimes action, suggesting an artist's deep observational skill. The inscriptions themselves, composed of short sequences of symbols, are still undeciphered, leaving their meaning a mystery and prompting questions about trade, administration, and communication in one of the world's earliest urban civilizations. Most scholars agree that these seals were likely used as markers of identity, authenticity, or authority, tools for commerce, stamps for trade goods, or emblems of ownership. Excavations show them alongside storage jars, weights, and trading items, suggesting their role in the complex economic networks of the Indus Valley. Yet, despite these functional interpretations, the combination of symbols and artistic flourishes hints at something more than mere utility. Could the seals have encoded religious beliefs, cosmological knowledge, or even esoteric information meant only for a select few? The precision of their carving implies purpose, intent, and perhaps a system of understanding we have only partially grasped. What continues to mystify is the sophistication of their production. The uniformity of dimensions, the sharpness of engravings, and the consistency in style across hundreds of miles of territory suggest a standardized approach, almost proto-industrial in its execution. Workshops may have existed, perhaps with artisans trained in specific glyphs or motifs, but no definitive records have survived. How did these artisans achieve such consistency? What tools and methods allowed them to carve hard stone so cleanly, producing inscriptions that remain legible after thousands of years? Even in modern terms, the craftsmanship is impressive, and its purpose is elusive. Speculation surrounding the Indus Seals extends further. Some researchers have suggested that they may have been used as amulets or talismans, objects imbued with protective or symbolic power. Others posit that the symbols could encode information about the Indus Valley's economy, social hierarchy, or even astronomical knowledge, a sort of compact archive of cultural data. The recurring imagery of animals, combined with abstract glyphs, has fueled theories ranging from proto-writing systems to ritualistic or religious symbolism. The lack of a Rosetta Stone for this civilization means that each interpretation is provisional yet compelling, leaving us in a state of perpetual curiosity. The geographic spread of these seals adds another layer to their mystery. Found in Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Lothal, and even as far as Mesopotamia, some seals suggest far-reaching trade networks and cultural exchange, indicating that the Indus people were both connected and influential. Yet, unlike Egyptian or Mesopotamian scripts, the Indus inscriptions offer no clear narrative or bilingual translation, and attempts to link them to later South Asian scripts remain speculative. In this silence, the seals become more than artifacts. They are questions cast in stone, inviting us to explore patterns of thought, trade, and society that are tantalizingly beyond our full comprehension. The artistic elements of the seals further deepen their allure. Tiny engravings reveal details such as musculature, posture, and expression, creating lifelike representations within objects no larger than a human palm. Was this level of detail intended for practical recognition, or was it symbolic, perhaps representing clans, deities, or mythic stories? And if symbolic, what knowledge or beliefs are encoded in these forms, lost to time yet preserved in miniature? The possibility that the seals combine both function and profound meaning underscores the complexity of the civilization that created them. The Indus Seals, therefore, occupy a delicate space between art, technology, and mystery. They are objects of practicality, yet they are imbued with elegance, precision, and an unanswered question. What language, system, or worldview do they represent? Like the terracotta soldiers, they demonstrate advanced technical and artistic ability. Yet, unlike the soldiers, their message remains cryptic, locked within a code that has resisted all attempts at full translation. As we examine these small yet compelling artifacts, it is impossible not to wonder about the broader civilization that produced them. What knowledge, rituals, or organizational methods accompanied their creation? How did a society manage standardization across vast distances without written explanations that we can now read? And most poignantly, what other remnants of their understanding, hidden in artifacts, ruins, or buried libraries, might still lie undiscovered, waiting to challenge our understanding of human ingenuity? The Indus Seals invite us to pause, reflect, and imagine. In their intricate carvings and undeciphered symbols, we encounter a civilization both familiar and profoundly mysterious, a society capable of remarkable artistry, commerce, and perhaps hidden knowledge. As we continue our journey through the anomalies and enigmas of human history, these seals remind us that even the smallest objects can carry the weight of unanswered questions, preserving mysteries that endure for millennia, waiting patiently for discovery and insight. From the small yet enigmatic Indus Seals, which hint at a civilization's capacity for communication, trade, and symbolic expression, we now turn north to the rolling plains of Central Europe, where a bronze disk, no larger than a modern dinner plate, has challenged our understanding of Bronze Age knowledge. The Nebra Sky Disk, discovered in 1999 near the town of Nebra in Germany, gleams with a subtle golden luster despite its age, its surface etched with symbols that appear at first simple, disks, arcs, and dots, but reveal a sophistication that continues to intrigue archaeologists and astronomers alike. The disk itself is visually striking. Crafted from bronze and inlaid with gold, its arrangement depicts a crescent, a circular sun or full moon, and a scattering of dots that seem to represent stars. The proportions are precise, the placement deliberate, and the craftsmanship exceptional for a period roughly 3,600 years ago. Each feature raises immediate questions. Was this object purely decorative, or did it serve a functional purpose, perhaps an astronomical tool, a ritual object, or a symbolic representation of the cosmos as understood by its creators? Mainstream scholarship generally frames the Nebra Sky Disk as an artifact of profound astronomical and religious significance. Researchers suggest that the disk encodes knowledge of celestial movements, including the sun, moon, and the Pleiades cluster, potentially assisting Bronze Age communities in marking the seasons or timing agricultural cycles. The precision of the inlays and the disk's apparent alignment with solstices implies that its creators were careful observers of the heavens, blending empirical knowledge with symbolic representation in a single object of remarkable beauty. Yet the disk also invites speculation and broader questions about the technological and conceptual capacities of its makers. For an era traditionally considered technologically limited, the disk demonstrates not only artistic skill, but also an understanding of celestial mechanics. How did a Bronze Age society acquire the knowledge to depict such accurate relationships between the sun, moon, and stars? Were these observations a product of centuries of meticulous tracking, passed down through generations? And if so, why have so few artifacts from this level of astronomical understanding survived? Adding to the mystery is the context in which the disk was found. Buried with 2 bronze swords, axes, and other ceremonial items, the disk was part of a larger assemblage that suggests both ritual and status significance. The objects appear to have been deliberately interred, perhaps to safeguard knowledge, to mark a sacred site, or to honor celestial forces. Could this burial indicate an advanced cosmological system, a form of proto-scientific thinking, or a ritualized connection between human society and the sky? The alignment of symbols and their apparent relationship to seasonal solar movements certainly invites consideration of practical use, yet the full intentions of the creators remain opaque. Some researchers have even suggested that the Nebra Sky Disk represents an early, sophisticated attempt to map the heavens, a Bronze Age star chart, a cosmic calendar, or a mnemonic device linking astronomical phenomena to agricultural, religious, or political cycles. Others note symbolic interpretations, where the disk may encode mythological stories or cosmologies now lost to time. The dual nature of the artifact, as both potential tool and symbol, creates a tension that continues to fascinate. It is at once practical, artistic, and mysterious, challenging our assumptions about the intellectual life of Bronze Age Europe. The creation of the disk itself reflects technological knowledge that is surprising for its era. The bronze base was skillfully cast, and the gold inlays precisely hammered and fitted, a combination that would have required not only refined tools, but also a controlled understanding of metallurgy. The methods employed to achieve both durability and detail suggest experimentation, trial, and skill, raising the question of how widespread such knowledge might have been in the societies that produced it. Were there workshops and specialists, secretive communities preserving knowledge, or itinerant artisans whose techniques were highly valued and carefully protected? Moreover, the disk continues to raise questions about cultural exchange. Some of the iconography, particularly depictions of celestial motifs, has parallels in contemporary Mediterranean civilizations. Could these similarities indicate contact, shared knowledge, or independent discovery? And if contact existed, how extensive was it, and what does it reveal about the mobility of ideas, trade, and knowledge during the Bronze Age? The disk, small and unassuming in appearance, serves as a focal point for broader inquiries into human ingenuity, observation, and the transmission of knowledge across time and space. As we examine the Nebra Sky Disk today, its thin bronze surface and glimmering gold suggest both fragility and permanence. It is a tangible reminder that even small artifacts can carry profound information about a civilization's understanding of the world, blending art, ritual, and science in ways we are only beginning to appreciate. The disk's survival, despite millennia of burial and exposure to the elements, allows us to glimpse a worldview at once practical and symbolic, one that links human activity on Earth with the movements of celestial bodies overhead. Yet for all we know, the disk leaves us with more questions than answers. Was it a calendar, a religious icon, or a tool for observation? How much knowledge did its creators possess that has since been lost to time? And how many other objects, hidden, buried, or destroyed, might reveal equally sophisticated understanding, awaiting discovery? In the Nebra Sky Disk, we find a reminder of the enduring human impulse to observe, record, and interpret the cosmos, and of the mysteries that remain just beyond our grasp, whispering across the ages, inviting us to look up, to wonder, and to continue searching. From the glimmering surface of the Nebra Sky Disk, a Bronze Age representation of celestial observation, our journey now moves far south to the high plains of Bolivia, near the Titicaca Basin, where an artifact has stirred both fascination and debate: the Fuente Magna bowl. Unearthed near the shores of Lake Titicaca, this shallow stone vessel is remarkable not only for its craftsmanship, but for the intricate inscriptions etched across its surface. At first glance, it seems an ordinary artifact, a ceremonial bowl shaped from local stone. Yet a closer inspection reveals writing that some claim resembles Sumerian cuneiform and Proto-Sumerian scripts, challenging conventional ideas about ancient transoceanic contact and the limits of prehistoric knowledge. The bowl itself is modest in size but commanding in presence. Polished to a subtle sheen, it is heavy in the hand, the surface cool and tactile, its rounded form suggesting utility, ceremony, or both. The inscriptions follow the curve of the vessel, carved with painstaking precision. Scholars have noted that each character aligns carefully with its neighbors, suggesting a deliberate and practiced hand, rather than random decoration or mimicry. The combination of form, material, and writing evokes a sense of intentionality, an object made to convey meaning, authority, or sacred significance across space and time. Mainstream archaeology has debated the origins and purpose of the Fuente Magna bowl. Some argue it is a local artifact created by pre-Columbian cultures of the region, and that the apparent resemblance to Sumerian symbols is coincidental, a phenomenon known as pareidolia, where the mind perceives patterns where none were intended. Others, examining the craftsmanship and inscriptions, propose that the bowl could indicate some form of early contact or cultural diffusion, raising questions about trade routes, migration, and the flow of ideas in an era traditionally considered isolated. The linguistic aspects of the bowl intensify the mystery. If the inscriptions are indeed related to cuneiform, how could a Bronze Age script from Mesopotamia appear thousands of miles away in the Andes, centuries before transoceanic navigation as conventionally understood? Were these symbols independently developed, a case of convergent invention, or do they hint at connections lost to time? Linguists and epigraphers continue to debate the plausibility, analyzing the shapes, sequences, and potential phonetic values. Yet, without definitive translation or corroborating artifacts, the bowl's message remains tantalizingly out of reach, a puzzle that refuses to be fully solved. Beyond the inscriptions, the bowl itself is an object of technical intrigue. The stone is locally sourced, but the precision of carving, the smoothness of the interior, and the symmetry of the form suggest a highly skilled artisan. Could the techniques employed hint at knowledge of tools, abrasion, and carving methods more sophisticated than traditionally attributed to the culture of the time? The Fuente Magna bowl seems to bridge artistry, ritual, and possible literacy, raising questions about the breadth of expertise possessed by its creators and the intentions behind its production. The context of its discovery adds layers of enigma. Found in a region rich with ceremonial and sacred sites, including the famous Tiwanaku complex, the bowl appears to have been treated as an object of importance. Its proximity to other ritual artifacts suggests it may have been part of religious or ceremonial practice, possibly serving as a vessel for offerings, libations, or rites connected to cosmology or community leadership. And yet the potential foreign script complicates this picture, hinting at influences, knowledge, or contact that might extend far beyond the Andean highlands. Speculative theories abound. Some researchers suggest that the bowl is evidence of early transoceanic exchange, possibly connecting Old World civilizations with the New World long before European contact. Others propose that the markings represent a local, undeciphered script influenced by distant knowledge or an entirely indigenous system that coincidentally resembles cuneiform. The absence of corroborating inscriptions elsewhere in the region makes it difficult to draw definitive conclusions, yet the mere possibility invites reconsideration of what human cultures might have known and shared millennia ago. The bowl's survival and the clarity of its inscriptions continue to challenge assumptions. Over centuries, it has endured environmental conditions, handling, and the passage of time, yet the carvings remain legible, a testament to both the material's durability and the skill of its creator. This durability allows modern observers to engage directly with the artifact, to trace its curves, examine its carvings, and imagine the hands that shaped it. In this act of examination, the bowl becomes more than an object. It is a bridge across time, a vessel not only of potential meaning but of human curiosity and ingenuity. As we reflect on the Fuente Magna bowl, it becomes clear that it embodies multiple layers of mystery. It is at once an object of ritual, an artifact of technical skill, and a puzzle that questions our understanding of ancient human connectivity. Did its creators merely replicate forms from memory, or does the bowl preserve knowledge of contacts and ideas that have otherwise vanished? How much of the world's ancient knowledge lies buried, waiting to be recognized, understood, and connected? The Fuente Magna bowl, with its enigmatic inscriptions and deliberate form, invites us to pause and consider the limits of what we know. It challenges our assumptions about isolation, chronology, and human ingenuity, reminding us that even a small, unassuming vessel can carry questions that span continents, civilizations, and millennia. In its cool, polished surface, we encounter not just a relic, but an enduring enigma, one that continues to whisper across time, urging us to wonder, to investigate, and to imagine what remains hidden just beyond our grasp. From the cool, enigmatic presence of the Fuente Magna bowl in the high plains of Bolivia, our exploration turns to another artifact whose existence raises questions about ancient technology and lost knowledge. The Lolladoff Plate. Discovered in the mid-20th century in Eastern Europe, this seemingly ordinary metal disc is no larger than a standard dinner plate, yet it carries etchings and designs that hint at sophistication far beyond what conventional history attributes to the region and period. Its surface is smooth, metallic, and remarkably well preserved, reflecting light in a way that draws the eye and invites closer inspection. The plate's design is both simple and perplexing. Circular in form, it features intricate engravings that appear to depict geometric patterns, symbols, and perhaps even celestial arrangements. The precision of these carvings is astonishing, suggesting that the creator possessed advanced tools or techniques capable of producing lines and shapes with remarkable accuracy. The craftsmanship implies intention, yet the purpose remains obscure. Was this an object of ritual, a scientific instrument, or a symbolic representation of knowledge now lost? Mainstream interpretations of the Lolladoff Plate suggest it might be a ceremonial object, a token of authority or status, or simply an example of decorative metalwork. Yet, the more one studies the engravings, the more they seem to transcend ordinary ornamentation. Some scholars have suggested that the patterns correspond to astronomical phenomena, mapping movements of celestial bodies, or encoding mathematical principles. Others have noted similarities with symbols found in other, far-flung ancient cultures, raising questions about the transmission of knowledge across time and geography. The metal itself adds to the intrigue. Analysis indicates that it is an alloy composition uncommon for the period and region, exhibiting durability and resistance to corrosion that hints at a level of metallurgical skill not often attributed to the era. How was the plate cast, shaped, and engraved with such precision? What tools or techniques did the craftsman employ to achieve such uniformity and clarity? The artifact challenges our assumptions about the technological capabilities of the cultures that produced it, leaving room for speculation about lost knowledge or unrecorded innovation. The context of its discovery is equally compelling. Found in a remote site, away from known centers of early civilization, the Lolladoff Plate suggests that communities once possessed knowledge, artistry, and perhaps technical ability that has since disappeared from the historical record. Could it have been part of a larger collection of instruments, a set of ceremonial objects, or an isolated artifact reflecting a forgotten tradition? The lack of corroborating items leaves these questions unanswered, deepening the sense of mystery. Speculative theories abound, particularly concerning the possible function of the plate. Some propose that it may have been used as a rudimentary computational device, a calendar, or a symbolic map of the heavens. Others suggest ritualistic or ceremonial significance, with the patterns serving as esoteric symbols whose meanings were accessible only to a select few. The ambiguity of its purpose allows the Lolladoff Plate to occupy a space between technology, art, and spirituality. A rare artifact that challenges easy categorization. Comparisons with other ancient anomalies further emphasize its enigmatic character. Like the Fuente Magna bowl, the Lolladoff Plate seems to suggest knowledge or skills beyond what conventional archaeology credits to its creators. Its precise engravings, unusual alloy, and isolated discovery evoke questions about trade, migration, and the spread of ideas across early human societies. Could there have been forgotten networks of communication, or cultures whose achievements have left only fragments behind? The tactile experience of the plate also contributes to its mystery. Holding it, tracing the engraved lines, one senses the deliberate effort, patience, and intent behind its creation. It embodies a human presence that transcends time, a silent testimony to craftsmanship and perhaps to knowledge now obscured by the passage of centuries. Each line and curve whispers of meticulous planning, of understanding that may have been empirical, symbolic, or both. As we contemplate the Lolladoff Plate, the questions multiply. Was it a tool, a ritual object, or a symbolic device meant to encode knowledge or beliefs? How did its creators achieve such technical precision, and what has been lost along with their culture? What does this artifact tell us about the boundaries of human innovation and the hidden capacities of ancient societies? Perception of history, technology, and human ingenuity. Its delicate etchings, advanced metallurgical composition, and enduring mystery remind us that the past is rarely as straightforward as it seems. In the quiet reflection it invites, we are drawn to consider the unseen, the unexplored, and the knowledge that may still lie buried, waiting for discovery. It stands as a testament to human creativity, curiosity, and the enduring enigma of civilizations that left more questions than answers behind. From the vast, silent rows of Karnak, where standing stones reach skyward in rhythm and alignment, our exploration now turns to an artifact of a different scale yet equal in its ability to mesmerize. The ancient Sumerian star charts. Unearthed from the ruins of Mesopotamia, these clay tablets, inscribed with painstaking precision thousands of years ago, map the heavens in ways that suggest a sophistication often unacknowledged in early human history. The tablets are small, handheld objects, yet their markings, etched cuneiform symbols, dot patterns, and intricate diagrams, encode a vision of the cosmos that continues to astonish historians, astronomers, and archaeologists alike. At first glance, a Sumerian star chart appears deceptively simple, a flat clay rectangle inscribed with symbols arranged in apparent order. But closer inspection reveals a remarkable level of detail. Constellations, planetary positions, and lunar cycles are recorded with a precision that implies not casual observation, but systematic tracking over decades, perhaps even centuries. The markings often appear alongside annotations, numerical indicators, and references that suggest a dual function, practical and ritualistic, blending observation, mathematics, and cosmology into a single artifact. Mainstream scholarship recognizes these tablets as evidence of Sumerian astronomical knowledge. The Sumerians were among the first civilizations to track celestial movement, developing calendars, predicting eclipses, and structuring agricultural and religious life around lunar and solar cycles. The star charts illustrate the interplay between observation and documentation, revealing a culture deeply attuned to the rhythm of the sky. Yet even within accepted interpretations, the level of sophistication prompts further questions. How did they acquire such precise knowledge without telescopic tools or modern instruments? Were these charts based purely on long-term visual observation, or did they incorporate techniques and methods now lost to history? Some researchers suggest that the star charts hint at knowledge beyond conventional understanding. The alignment of certain symbols, the repeated depiction of unusual celestial phenomena, and the mathematical exactitude of planetary cycles have led to speculation that Sumerian astronomers may have observed phenomena such as variable stars, comets, or even distant planetary motion centuries before recorded in other cultures. Could this represent the cumulative work of generations, carefully preserved and refined? Or might there be elements we have yet to decode, messages embedded in clay, speaking across millennia? The materials and method of creation also underscore the technical skill involved. Each tablet was inscribed while the clay was still soft, requiring precision and care, then baked to preserve the information for posterity. Mistakes could not easily be corrected, and the survival of so many examples suggests that they were valued, copied, and safeguarded. In this, the star charts were not mere records. They were instruments of knowledge, tools for understanding cycles of nature, and perhaps even for guiding religious or societal decisions. Yet the more we examine the Sumerian star charts, the more enigmatic they become. Certain symbols defy straightforward identification, prompting ongoing debates among historians and epigraphers. Do they represent lost constellations, observations of celestial events not understood today, or symbolic representations interwoven with myth? The interplay of practical observation and symbolic meaning raises broader questions. How did the Sumerians conceptualize their place in the cosmos? Did they perceive a correspondence between celestial patterns and human events, as some later civilizations would claim? The context of discovery adds another layer of fascination. Tablets have been excavated from royal archives, temple complexes, and private collections, suggesting that the knowledge they contain was both public and controlled, revered and protected. Were these charts part of a systematic educational system for priests and astronomers? Were they intended to codify celestial phenomena for ritual, agricultural, or civic purposes? Or could they encode knowledge of the cosmos far beyond what contemporary accounts acknowledge? Hints of insight that have only partially survived? Speculative theories about the star charts continue to provoke debate. Some have proposed that they contain evidence of precise astronomical measurements that could not have been made without sophisticated instruments, suggesting lost technologies or advanced observation techniques. Others see echoes of symbolic cosmology, where patterns in the heavens were projected onto human society, influencing myth, ritual, and governance. Whether viewed as practical tools, spiritual guides, or cryptic messages, the tablets demand attention, careful study, and humility in the face of human ingenuity. Holding a Sumerian star chart, one can almost sense the human presence behind it, the careful observation, the recording of patterns, the desire to understand the movements of planets and stars. It is a tangible connection to minds reaching across time, seeking to map the heavens, interpret cycles, and make sense of the universe. Each tablet preserves not only knowledge, but intention, a deliberate act of observation and communication that has endured thousands of years. As we contemplate the ancient Sumerian star charts, it becomes clear that they occupy a unique space in our exploration of mysterious artifacts. They are evidence of early human intelligence, observational skill, and curiosity. But they also challenge our assumptions about the limits of that knowledge. What secrets might remain encoded in their symbols? How much more did the Sumerians know that we cannot yet decipher? And what other artifacts, scattered across continents and centuries, might reveal similarly sophisticated understandings of the cosmos awaiting rediscovery? The star charts, like Karnak's stones or the Fuente Magna bowl, remind us that history is rarely linear or fully understood. They stand as silent witnesses to the human desire to explore, to measure, to understand, and to record the universe. And in that quiet persistence, they invite us to continue looking, questioning, and imagining, not just the past, but the hidden depths of knowledge that may still lie waiting, buried in clay, stone, and memory. From the delicate clay tablets of Sumerian astronomers, mapping the heavens with remarkable precision, our journey now takes us to the sun-scorched plains of Lebanon, where stone giants rise in silent testimony to the ambition and skill of an ancient civilization. The Baalbek Trilithon, part of the massive platform of the Temple of Jupiter. These three monoliths, each weighing an estimated 800 to 1,000 tons, form one of the largest and most enigmatic stone constructions in the world. Their sheer scale is breathtaking, demanding a pause before the mind can begin to comprehend the feat of moving and placing such immensity with the technology historically available to humans at the time. Approaching the Trilithon, one is immediately struck by the precision of the stonework. Despite their colossal size, the stones fit together with remarkable exactitude, their surfaces finely dressed, edges straight and smooth. Centuries of weathering have softened some contours, yet the precision of the original craftsmanship remains visible, suggesting techniques and methods that continue to puzzle engineers, historians, and archaeologists. How could ancient builders quarry, transport, and position these monoliths without cranes, pulleys, or modern machinery? The mystery lingers, challenging our understanding of human capability in the pre-industrial world. Baalbek itself has a long and complex history. Known to the Romans as Heliopolis, the site was an important religious center long before Roman construction began. Archaeological evidence points to multiple phases of building, suggesting that successive cultures contributed to its grandeur. The Trilithon, however, is thought to predate much of the known temple complex, its construction possibly reflecting an earlier advanced phase of engineering now largely lost to time. Scholars have debated whether the Romans merely incorporated pre-existing foundations and stones, or if local populations had already developed methods for manipulating megalithic structures on a monumental scale. The enormity of the Trilithon raises practical questions. Each monolith is cut with straight faces, likely hewn from nearby quarries, yet the method of transporting them remains debated. Some theories suggest the use of rolling logs, earthen ramps, or lubrication techniques, while others posit more sophisticated methods that may have been forgotten. The logistics of lifting, aligning, and securing stones of such size in exact alignment without fracturing them or causing imbalance is staggering, even to modern engineers. The precision suggests knowledge of leverage, weight distribution, and coordination at a level that remains difficult to fully reconstruct. Beyond the technical aspects, the purpose of the Trilithon adds another layer of enigma. As part of a sacred platform, the stones were intended to support massive temples, yet their size and placement far exceed what would be necessary purely for structural stability. Were the builders motivated by symbolic, ceremonial, or religious considerations, seeking to convey power, permanence, or cosmic alignment? Could the scale of the stones themselves have been meant to inspire awe, to impress worshippers and visitors with a tangible expression of divine or royal authority? Or was their knowledge, architectural, astronomical, or otherwise, that we have yet to fully understand? Speculative theories surrounding the Trilithon abound. Some suggest that it represents evidence of lost technologies or forgotten engineering principles, capabilities of human ingenuity that were never recorded and gradually disappeared. Others propose that the stones align with specific celestial events, hinting at an astronomical or calendrical function embedded within the construction. Whether intended as observatories, ceremonial platforms, or monuments of power, the stones speak to a society capable of planning and executing projects of unprecedented scale with astonishing precision. The surrounding landscape intensifies the mystery. The Trilithon rests atop a raised terrace, itself carefully constructed, offering commanding views of the surrounding plains and mountains. This elevated position may have had both practical and symbolic significance, integrating architecture with geography to create a sacred landscape. The site's enduring presence invites reflection not only on the technical skill of its builders, but also on their worldview, how they perceived space, scale, and the relationship between human structures and the natural world. In contemplating the Baalbek Trilithon, one is compelled to ask, what was the full scope of knowledge possessed by those who placed these stones? How did they solve the enormous logistical challenges involved? And what cultural, spiritual, or scientific imperatives guided their efforts? Can the methods be rediscovered, or have they been lost to history, leaving only the silent testimony of stone behind. The Trilithon, like the Sumerian star charts and the Karnak stones, embodies layers of mystery that transcend time. It challenges assumptions about technological development, human coordination, and the motivations behind monumental construction. Standing before these immense blocks, one cannot help but sense the intention, the labor, and the ingenuity that went into their creation. They are both functional and symbolic, engineering and enigma, a bridge between what is known and what has been lost. Baalbek's massive stones whisper across millennia, inviting us to consider the ingenuity and determination of ancient builders. They remind us that the past holds achievements that defy easy explanation, that human creativity has always been capable of extraordinary feats, and that even the most massive constructs can leave us with more questions than answers. In the shadow of the Trilithon, we are invited to wonder what knowledge and skill might still lie hidden, waiting to be rediscovered in the stones and landscapes of our ancient world. From the monumental stones of Baalbek, where human ingenuity seems to defy time and expectation, our journey now shifts to the ancient necropolis of Abydos in Egypt, a site steeped in sacred history and ceremonial significance. Here, within the dark recesses of the Temple of Seti-War, an extraordinary and enigmatic carving has captivated researchers, historians, and enthusiasts alike, a relief that, at first glance, appears to depict modern aerial vehicles, what some call the Abydos helicopter. The carving itself is etched into limestone with the meticulous precision characteristic of Egyptian artisans. At first, it appears as a jumble of overlapping hieroglyphs, but with closer inspection, shapes emerge that resemble a helicopter, a tank, and even a submarine. The relief seems almost impossibly advanced for a civilization dating back more than 3 millennia. How could such depictions appear in a culture whose documented technology includes chariots, boats, and simple machinery? The image challenges our understanding of ancient Egyptian artistry, symbolism, and the limits of their technical imagination. Scholars widely acknowledge that the carving is the result of a complex process known as palimpsest, where older inscriptions were carved over and then partially eroded, creating the illusion of modern machinery. Yet the effect is striking and uncanny, compelling viewers to consider the interplay between history, preservation, and perception. Could these forms, so familiar to the modern eye, have inspired myth, legend, or even speculation about ancient knowledge of flight? Or are they simply the accidental product of centuries of layering, fading, and reinterpretation? The context of Abydos adds to the fascination. The temple complex is one of the oldest and most sacred in Egypt, a place dedicated to Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and a center for ritual, pilgrimage, and record-keeping. Carvings throughout the temple depict gods, kings, and ceremonial events with extraordinary fidelity, blending symbolic narrative with historical record. Within this disciplined artistic tradition, the helicopter carving stands out as an anomaly, a visual echo that seems to resonate across millennia with uncanny modern familiarity. Beyond the technical explanation of palimpsest, some researchers propose more speculative interpretations. Could the overlapping shapes be remnants of forgotten knowledge, stylized representations of advanced concepts encoded symbolically for the initiated? Might the relief hint at astronomical or technological understanding we no longer grasp, using familiar iconography to encode information about flight, power, or movement? The ambiguity invites careful study, balancing skepticism with curiosity, and underscores the tension between what is known and what remains mysterious. The artistry of the carving is undeniable. Each line, each contour, follows the conventions of Egyptian relief work, precise, intentional, and rhythmically composed. The fact that these shapes emerged through overlapping inscriptions demonstrates not just technical skill, but a kind of serendipitous artistry, that transforms practical record-keeping into an image that resonates across time. It is a reminder of the intricate relationship between creation, erosion, and perception, where meaning can shift with context, lighting, or viewpoint. The Abydos relief also raises questions about the transmission of knowledge and cultural memory. If the forms are purely coincidental, they still speak to the capacity of human observers to find patterns and meaning in abstract shapes, a phenomenon known as pareidolia. Yet the striking resemblance to modern machinery provokes further reflection. What did the original carvers intend? And how might these images have been interpreted by contemporaries, aware of layers of symbolism and divine reference now lost to us? In contemplating the Abydos helicopter carving, one is struck by the interplay between time, perception, and human ingenuity. It reminds us that the past is rarely static or fully interpretable. Artifacts can carry multiple layers of meaning, some intended, others emergent, shaped by centuries of cultural change and natural decay. The relief is at once historical, artistic, and mysterious, a small portal into a world where the boundary between imagination and reality blurs. The Abydos carving, like the Baalbek Trilithon and the Sumerian star charts, embodies a delicate tension between the known and the unknowable. It challenges assumptions about the limits of ancient knowledge and invites us to consider how civilizations observed, recorded, and interpreted their worlds. Was it a coincidence of time and erosion, or might it preserve a symbolic record of understanding that transcends our modern frameworks? In the quiet shadows of Abydos, the relief continues to captivate and provoke, leaving us with questions that remain as unresolved as the mysteries of the stones and stars we have explored before. As we stand before these enigmatic carvings, we are reminded that the past is layered, complex, and often more surprising than we anticipate. Each line, each shadow, and each form invites us to wonder, what knowledge has been lost? What intentions remain hidden, and what secrets of human imagination are still waiting to be uncovered, quietly etched into stone for those who care to look closely? From the stone reliefs of Abydos, where the overlapping shadows of hieroglyphs hint at mysteries yet unresolved, our journey now carries us across the Mediterranean to the sunken shipwrecks off the coast of Antikythera, Greece. There, among the corroded remains of a Roman cargo vessel, divers discovered an artifact that would confound historians and scientists alike for more than a century, the Antikythera Mechanism, often described as the world's first analog computer. At first glance, the device seems deceptively simple, a bronze assembly of gears, wheels, and dials, its components corroded and fragmented by centuries beneath the waves. Yet careful examination reveals a level of mechanical sophistication that would not be seen again for another millennium. The gears are interlocking with remarkable precision, carefully calculated ratios translating rotational motion into astronomical cycles. In its original form, it could predict the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, track eclipses, and even forecast the timing of the ancient Olympic Games. How could a civilization, more often associated with temples, statuary, and philosophical inquiry, have developed such complex machinery? The mechanism challenges the linear narrative of technological progress. Dated to around 100 BCE, it predates other known mechanical devices by centuries, suggesting that Hellenistic scientists possessed an understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering that was far ahead of its time. Scholars have painstakingly reconstructed its workings using X-ray imaging and 3D modeling, revealing a clockwork device of extraordinary ingenuity. Each gear, tooth, and dial embodies precise calculations, a harmony of observation and craftsmanship designed to make the heavens intelligible to human hands. Mainstream interpretations see the Antikythera Mechanism as the culmination of Hellenistic astronomical knowledge, a tool for scholars and philosophers. Yet the very existence of such a device raises profound questions. Was it an isolated invention, a singular artifact of genius, or a representative of a broader, largely lost tradition of mechanical computation? Could knowledge of such devices have circulated, influencing civilizations in ways that have left no other surviving traces? The mechanism teases at a history of technological sophistication that seems to vanish into the depths, both literally and metaphorically. Beyond its mechanical prowess, the Antikythera Mechanism also embodies human curiosity and the drive to measure, understand, and predict the cosmos. Its dials convey a world view that sought order in the apparent chaos of celestial motion. It is a bridge between observation and abstraction, translating complex orbital cycles into tangible, manipulable forms. How did its creators reconcile theoretical knowledge with practical construction, and what inspired them to encode the movements of distant celestial bodies into a portable instrument of bronze and ingenuity? Speculative theories have flourished alongside scholarly study. Some have proposed that the mechanism represents remnants of lost Hellenistic technologies, possibly influenced by knowledge from Egypt or Babylon, or that it preserves principles that later resurfaced in medieval European clockwork. Others suggest it is evidence that ancient engineers had capabilities approaching those of the Renaissance, yet social, political, or cultural upheavals led to the disappearance of such knowledge. Regardless of interpretation, the artifact stands as a testament to human ingenuity, a tangible link to minds capable of translating the heavens into mechanism. The shipwreck context adds layers of intrigue. Buried beneath centuries of sand, sediment, and seawater, the mechanism survived its submersion through a combination of bronze's resilience and the serendipity of discovery. Its presence on a merchant vessel suggests it was an item of value, possibly intended for a wealthy patron or scholar, emphasizing that knowledge, like commerce, could travel widely even in antiquity. Yet the lack of comparable devices leaves its origins and distribution largely speculative, deepening the mystery. In contemplating the Antikythera Mechanism, one cannot help but consider the fragility of knowledge. How many similar inventions were lost to time, discarded, or never preserved? What does the mechanism tell us about the Hellenistic world, and what gaps remain in our understanding of ancient technology? Its survival invites both admiration and humility, reminding us that the trajectory of human ingenuity is rarely linear and often obscured by the passage of time. The mechanism, like the Abydos helicopter carving and the Baalbek Trilithon, challenges assumptions about the capabilities of ancient civilizations. It calls into question the completeness of historical narratives, the linearity of technological progress, and the survival of knowledge across centuries. In the cold bronze of its corroded gears, we glimpse both the sophistication of human thought and the mysteries that endure. As we examine the Antikythera Mechanism, we are left with questions that ripple outward like the orbits it was designed to track. What other technological marvels were created and lost, and how much of human ingenuity remains hidden, waiting to be rediscovered beneath layers of history, sediment, and silence? In this artifact, we encounter not merely a machine, but a profound testament to the ingenuity, curiosity, and ambition of our ancestors, an enigma that continues to turn in our minds as it once turned in the hands of its creators. From the finely tuned bronze gears of the Antikythera Mechanism, which translate celestial motion into human comprehension, our journey returns to the sands of ancient Egypt, where a far more enigmatic object rests quietly in the muted light of the Egyptian Museum, the Saqqara Bird. Unearthed in 1898 from the tomb of Pa-di Imen near Saqqara, this small wooden artifact resembles a bird in flight, yet its simple form belies a complexity that has captivated scholars, aviators, and enthusiasts for over a century. Measuring only about 15 centimeters in length, the Saqqara Bird is crafted from sycamore wood. its wings curved with subtle asymmetry, the tail and body carved with delicate precision. At first glance, it appears to be a straightforward representation of a bird, consistent with Egyptian funerary art intended to accompany the dead into the afterlife. Yet, when held, studied, and turned in the hand, observers note an aerodynamic quality that suggests more than mere symbolism. Its weight, balance, and profile evoke comparisons with modern gliders, leading to questions that ripple across archaeology and aeronautical history. Was this merely a ceremonial object, or could it have been a functional prototype of flight? Mainstream Egyptology generally interprets the Saqqara bird as a ritual artifact, perhaps a symbolic figure representing the soul, or Ba, which ancient Egyptians often imagined as a bird capable of traversing the worlds of the living and the dead. Within this framework, the shape would reflect spiritual significance rather than technical knowledge, its form guided by religious tradition rather than aerodynamics. Yet the artifact's resemblance to a glider has fueled alternative interpretations. Could Egyptian craftsmen, famed for their precision and ingenuity in stone, wood, and metal, have experimented with flight in some rudimentary form? And if so, what knowledge might have been gained and lost in the millennia since? Experimental studies have tested replicas of the Saqqara bird in wind tunnels, with mixed results. Some models glide briefly, others stall almost immediately, suggesting that if it were ever intended as a flying object, significant trial and error would have been required. Yet the very act of constructing a miniature with such symmetrical wings and carefully shaped surfaces implies observation and understanding of air and balance. Was this knowledge purely empirical, derived from careful study of birds in flight, or was it more symbolic, a representation of aspiration rather than practical function? The tomb context adds another layer of intrigue. The Saqqara bird was found among funerary items intended to guide the deceased safely to the afterlife. The Egyptians often imbued everyday objects with sacred or symbolic meaning, and the bird may have represented the soul's journey. But the physicality of the artifact, a well-shaped, balanced object capable of movement through air, raises questions about the intersection of ritual, observation, and experimentation. Could the object reflect an early lost understanding of aerodynamics, embedded within spiritual practice, and thus intentionally hidden from practical application? Speculative theories abound. Some enthusiasts argue that the Saqqara bird is evidence of ancient experimentation with flight, perhaps a small-scale prototype, suggesting that the Egyptians may have explored concepts that would not be technologically realized for millennia. Others propose that the artifact embodies knowledge encoded in symbolic form, a representation of motion and life force rather than literal mechanics. Its simplicity is deceptive, its elegance prompting reflection on the subtle ways ancient cultures merged observation, art, and philosophy. Beyond its potential technical implications, the Saqqara bird invites reflection on human imagination and the desire to transcend limits. In its small, carved body, one senses the universal aspiration to emulate the freedom of birds, to rise above terrestrial confines. Whether literal or symbolic, the artifact bridges worlds, past and present, earthly craft and spiritual vision, human curiosity and natural observation. It embodies the tension between practicality and meaning, form and function, and hints at the hidden complexity within ancient creations. The artifact's enduring mystery is enhanced by the lack of comparable objects. While the Egyptians built monumental structures, intricate tools, and detailed artworks, few other items suggest an engagement with flight. Was the Saqqara bird an isolated curiosity, a ceremonial expression, or part of a broader, now lost tradition of experimentation and observation? Without corroborating artifacts or texts, these questions remain unresolved, leaving room for wonder and cautious speculation. In contemplating the Saqqara Bird, we confront the intersection of human ingenuity, curiosity, and cultural expression. It challenges assumptions about the boundaries of ancient knowledge and reminds us that artifacts can carry multiple layers of meaning simultaneously: technical, symbolic, and spiritual. What we see may only hint at what was intended, what was observed, and what was imagined by the hands that crafted it. As with the Antikythera Mechanism, the Baalbek Trilithon, and the Abydos helicopter carving, the Saqqara Bird encourages us to consider what knowledge may have been recorded, experimented with, and then lost to time. Could ancient humans have glimpsed principles of flight long before the Wright brothers, embedding these insights within ritual and art? Or does the artifact simply reflect a culture's profound connection to symbolism, observation, and the mysteries of life and death? The Saqqara Bird rests silently, a small, unassuming artifact whose form continues to provoke questions centuries after it was carved. Its wings, poised as if for flight, invite us to imagine not just the possibilities of ancient technology, but the enduring human desire to explore, to understand, and to reach beyond the limits of our world. In its quiet elegance, the artifact whispers across millennia, leaving us to wonder what remains hidden in the shadows of history, waiting for discovery and contemplation. From the delicate wood of the Saqqara Bird, a testament to ancient observation and perhaps even early experimentation with flight, our journey now turns to the cartographic ingenuity of the early 16th century, where the Piri Reis Map challenges what we think we know about the world and those who charted it. Housed today in the Topkapi Palace Museum in Istanbul, this fragmentary map, created in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, captures coastlines and continents with a precision that has long captivated historians, geographers, and enthusiasts alike. The surviving portion of the map spans the western coasts of Europe and North Africa, extending to the northeastern coast of South America. Its lines and annotations reveal a level of geographical awareness that was extraordinary for its time. Piri Reis himself claimed to have compiled the map from over 20 source maps, including ancient charts from the time of Alexander the Great and possibly even earlier. The careful delineation of shorelines, rivers, and islands suggests an understanding of both scale and proportion that exceeds conventional expectations for early 16th century cartography. What makes the map particularly intriguing and controversial is not merely its precision, but the elements that seem to suggest knowledge of territories far removed from the European world of the period. Certain features along the South American coast, and perhaps even depictions of the Antarctic shoreline free of ice, have led some researchers to speculate that Piri Reis had access to older, now lost charts originating from an era and culture we do not fully understand. How could an early Renaissance admiral possess information that seems so advanced, predating modern explorations by centuries? Mainstream historians explain the map through a combination of synthesis and compilation. Piri Reis was known to gather information from numerous sources, including Portuguese and Spanish charts. By combining fragments of these sources and employing careful scaling and geometric methods, he could produce an accurate, though not flawless, representation of the known world. Yet the tantalizing precision in certain areas invites further speculation. Did the admiral merely copy what he saw? Or was there access to ancient knowledge, preserved across centuries and oceans, that informed his work? The map's annotations deepen the mystery. Piri Reis included commentary on his sources and the difficulties of navigation, revealing a careful consideration of winds, currents, and hazards. These notes convey not only technical knowledge, but a nuanced awareness of the practical challenges of seafaring. The map becomes more than a visual artifact. It is a record of observation, experience, and perhaps lost maritime knowledge. Did these annotations merely reflect accumulated wisdom of contemporary sailors, Or could they echo a deeper tradition of global exploration now forgotten? Speculative theories abound. Some researchers suggest that the Piri Reis Map preserves the legacy of a pre-modern, possibly prehistoric exploration of the globe. Others argue that certain depictions hint at knowledge of the Earth's curvature, or even Antarctic coastlines, long before their official discovery. Skeptics caution that distortions and assumptions in map-making could create the illusion of advanced knowledge where none existed. Yet, whether coincidence, inherited wisdom, or lost science, the map continues to fascinate because it challenges conventional timelines of discovery and understanding. The artistry of the map itself also commands attention. Drawn on parchment, its ink and pigment have endured centuries of handling, preserving colors and lines that speak to the care and intent behind its creation. Every curve, every annotation, suggests an intimate engagement with the physical and conceptual world, a labor of precision, patience, and perhaps imagination. In this small fragment of parchment, we witness not merely geography, but the ambitions of a mind striving to comprehend the globe and communicate that knowledge across time. Beyond its technical or historical significance, the Piri Reis Map invites reflection on the human desire to understand and document the world. It bridges imagination and observation, combining the accumulated wisdom of explorers, cartographers, and possibly even ancient seafarers. Like the Saqqara Bird, it embodies the tension between practical application and the transcendence of human curiosity, where empirical knowledge and speculative insight meet. The fragmentary nature of the map intensifies its allure. With only a portion surviving, we are left to imagine what the complete chart might have revealed. More detailed coastlines, additional annotations, perhaps even clues to civilizations and territories that have since been lost to history. What knowledge has vanished, leaving only these tantalizing traces, and what might have guided the hands of those who first charted the seas? In contemplating the Piri Reis Map, we are confronted with both the brilliance and the enigma of human exploration. Was it merely a product of Renaissance compilation, or does it encode remnants of a far older, more sophisticated understanding of the Earth's surface? How did knowledge cross continents, survive centuries, and influence those who would record it? The Piri Reis Map rests as a silent testament to curiosity, skill, and perhaps the preservation of forgotten knowledge. Its lines, inked with care and insight, continue to spark questions that reach beyond the parchment and into the realms of history, geography, and mystery. Like the Saqqara Bird before it, it whispers across centuries, challenging us to reconsider what we know about the limits of human understanding and what secrets may still lie hidden, waiting to be uncovered. From the meticulous detail of the Piri Reis Map, where ancient knowledge and cartographic skill intertwine to reveal a surprisingly accurate vision of the world, our journey turns now to the arid deserts of California, where a small, unassuming object unearthed in 1961 has sparked debate, curiosity, and speculation for decades. The Coso Artifact. Found near Olancha by rock collectors, this artifact, a seemingly ordinary geode, harbors a mystery that challenges our understanding of both geological and technological history. At first glance, the Coso artifact appears to be nothing more than a weathered rock, nondescript in color and shape. Yet, when cut open, it reveals a delicate metallic core embedded within the stone, a spark plug, perfectly preserved despite being encased in a concretion that appears to be hundreds of thousands of years old. The juxtaposition of modern technology seemingly trapped in prehistoric rock raises profound questions about the artifact's origin, its timeline, and the circumstances that allowed such preservation. How could an object designed for combustion engines exist in a formation that geologists argue should predate modern machinery by millennia? Mainstream explanations suggest that the artifact is a relatively recent spark plug that became coated in mineral deposits, a phenomenon that can occur more quickly than initial appearances might suggest. Critics argue that the surrounding matrix could be a natural concretion, forming over mere decades rather than the tens of thousands of years often cited by enthusiasts. Yet the apparent age of the rock and the artifact's integration with its surrounding concretion has fueled persistent intrigue, particularly among those who question conventional timelines of technological development. The construction of the spark plug itself is another layer of fascination. Its precise metallic core, porcelain insulator, and overall design are consistent with early 20th century technology, yet its sudden appearance in an unusual geological context seems almost prophetic. Was it simply an industrial relic mistakenly attributed to prehistoric strata? Or could it hint at the presence of advanced technology in an era we consider entirely pre-industrial? The artifact blurs the line between the mundane and the mysterious, prompting a reconsideration of the assumptions we hold about human innovation. The location of the discovery adds further intrigue. Nestled within the Coso Mountains, a region rich with Native American artifacts and petroglyphs, the site suggests a history of human presence stretching back millennia. While there is no direct evidence linking the spark plug to ancient inhabitants, the artifact's unexpected context invites speculation. Could knowledge of metallurgy or machinery have existed in forms we have yet to document? Or is the artifact simply a modern object, its story amplified by coincidence and curiosity? Speculative interpretations abound. Some researchers suggest the Coso artifact is evidence of out-of-place technology, perhaps remnants of a lost civilization, or an unknown visitor whose technological imprint left traces in the geological record. Others propose a more imaginative scenario, considering it a relic of time travel or advanced prehistoric experimentation, echoing the debates surrounding other anomalous artifacts like the Antikythera Mechanism or the Saqqara Bird. While such ideas remain on the fringe of mainstream archaeology, the artifact's peculiarities continue to invite contemplation and debate. Beyond the questions of origin and age, the Coso artifact invites reflection on the human relationship with time, observation, and interpretation. It reminds us that context shapes meaning. The same object can be mundane in one setting and extraordinary in another. The spark plug's embedding in hardened rock transforms it into a puzzle, a small but compelling challenge to conventional chronology, and a testament to the power of perspective in shaping our understanding of history. The artifact's continued allure lies not in proof, but in possibility. Without definitive dating or corroborating evidence, it remains an open question, a silent witness to the mysteries of human ingenuity, geological processes, and the passage of time. How many other objects lie hidden, waiting to challenge assumptions or reveal connections between eras, technologies, and ideas we have yet to recognize? In contemplating the Coso artifact, we are reminded that history is not a static ledger, but a dynamic landscape of discovery and interpretation. Each anomaly, each unexplained object invites a pause, a moment to consider that our narrative of the past may be incomplete, that our understanding of human creativity, technology, and exploration might yet expand. What other enigmas lie buried beneath the sands, stones, or sediments, waiting for the curious to uncover them? Like the Piri Reis Map, the Saqqara Bird, and the Baalbek Trilithon, the Coso artifact challenges us to consider the boundaries of knowledge, the limits of chronology, and the mysteries that endure in the spaces between fact and speculation. Its silent presence in the desert continues to whisper questions across time, urging us to wonder, investigate, and imagine what might still be hidden just beyond our grasp. In the heart of Crete, on a windswept plateau beneath the shadow of ancient ruins, lies one of the most enigmatic objects ever discovered. The Phaistos Disk, a small clay artifact measuring just 6 inches in diameter, was unearthed in 1908 by the Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier. in the Minoan palace of Phaistos, dating back to around 1700 BCE. Yet, despite more than a century of study, its true purpose and meaning remain elusive, its symbols a riddle that no one has yet been able to solve. The disk itself is unassuming in form, a flat, round object, almost like a primitive coin. Its surface is inscribed with a series of symbols, 45 distinct characters, some resembling familiar forms, others entirely foreign to anything in the known world. These symbols are arranged in a spiral, radiating outward from the center in a pattern that is both symmetrical and chaotic. It seems to suggest a message, a story, or a code, but what that message might be and who it was meant for is still unknown. The Phaistos Disk was discovered in a layer of burnt debris, a testament to the destruction that had once swept through this ancient civilization. The Minoans, whose culture thrived on the island of Crete, were sophisticated people, master builders, artists, and traders who left behind no shortage of stunning artifacts and structures. But no matter how much we know about the Minoans, this disk remains an anomaly, its meaning slipping through the cracks of history like water through sand. The initial theories proposed by scholars were grounded in the understanding that the Minoans were a literate society. Evidence of their written language had already been discovered in the form of Linear A, an undeciphered script, and Linear B, which was eventually deciphered to reveal a language closely related to ancient Greek. It was assumed that the symbols on the Phaistos disk might be another form of writing, a dialect or variation of the Minoan language, perhaps. This theory, though plausible, has not been universally accepted. Some scholars suggest that it could represent a form of religious or ceremonial text, perhaps a ritual or liturgical record. But still, the exact meaning of the symbols remains out of reach. A few historians have likened the disk to a kind of ancient printing press, suggesting that the impressions on the clay were made using stamps, each symbol individually carved into a small seal, then pressed into the clay to leave a mark. If true, this would mean that the Phaistos disk is, in a sense, an early example of mass communication, perhaps even a form of ancient media, something like a newspaper or pamphlet, intended to convey a message to a wide audience. This idea aligns with the spiral arrangement of symbols, which could suggest a narrative unfolding from one symbol to the next, like a visual storytelling technique. But then there are those who step away from the conventional explanations and suggest something far more mysterious. What if the Phaistos disk is not simply a record of human language, but something else altogether? Some have speculated that the symbols are not meant to be read in any conventional sense, but rather contain a hidden, encoded message, a message that might only be understood by unlocking the key to its code. Could it be a relic of an advanced civilization, lost to time, whose knowledge of writing and symbolism was far beyond what we know today? Or is it possible that the disk is not even of Minoan origin, but was created by a civilization from another part of the world entirely? One of the more fringe theories that has gained attention over the years is the idea that the Phaistos disk is not just a historical artifact, but a remnant of ancient extraterrestrial contact. Proponents of this theory point to the seemingly alien nature of the symbols, which do not resemble any other known script from the ancient world. The idea is that the symbols on the disk are so unique, so unlike anything else in the Minoan or any other ancient language, that they could represent a message from beyond our planet. Could the disk be evidence of early contact with extraterrestrial beings, or perhaps a form of communication from a lost, advanced civilization whose knowledge was far ahead of its time? These ideas are, of course, highly speculative, but they speak to the enduring mystery of the disk and the tantalizing possibilities that continue to capture the imagination of those who study it. More grounded theories suggest that the disk might have been used as a form of ritualistic or religious instruction, a tool for a priest or scribe to teach sacred knowledge. Some have even argued that it could have served as a form of divination, a kind of ancient oracle, with each symbol representing a different aspect of the cosmos or human existence. Perhaps it was used in conjunction with a form of early astrology, or as a key to understanding natural forces like the seasons or the stars. But again, these ideas remain speculative, as no clear evidence has emerged to support them. There are also those who argue that the disk is a simple, everyday object, perhaps a game or a toy, or even a form of early entertainment. Could the symbols be a series of playful or whimsical drawings, not meant to convey any deep or mystical meaning, but simply to amuse or pass the time? The idea seems unlikely given the intricacy and precision of the disk's design, but it is one of the many hypotheses that continue to circulate. In 1953, the cryptographer and historian Alexander Jones made a controversial claim that the Phaistos Disk is an early form of cuneiform, an ancient script used by the Sumerians in Mesopotamia. Jones proposed that the symbols on the disk were a form of proto-cuneiform, representing a transitional phase between the pictographs of earlier writing systems and the fully developed script of Sumer. But this theory, too, has not been widely accepted, as the symbols on the disk do not correspond well with any known cuneiform signs. The debate over the Phaistos Disk is not just academic. It taps into a deeper human curiosity about the past, about the mysteries that continue to elude our understanding. What was the disk really meant for? Was it a work of art, a religious artifact, or something far more significant? The possibilities are endless, but the answers are not easily forthcoming. Perhaps the most frustrating aspect of the Phaistos Disk is that we may never truly know its purpose. The Minoans, for all their advanced culture and craftsmanship, left behind few written records that could provide insight into the meaning of this strange object. Unlike the Egyptians, whose hieroglyphs have been deciphered, or the Mesopotamians, whose cuneiform tablets have been studied for centuries, the Minoans were a people whose language and their writing remains largely a mystery. And so, the Phaistos Disk continues to stand as one of the great unsolved mysteries of archaeology, an object that defies easy explanation and invites speculation from all corners of the intellectual world. Perhaps one day, the key to understanding it will be found, hidden in some long-lost archive or buried beneath the sands of time. But for now, it remains a tantalizing enigma, one that forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge and wonder what other secrets, lost to the ages, might still be waiting to be uncovered. What was the Phaistos Disk really meant to convey? And who, in the end, were its creators trying to reach? These questions, like the symbols themselves, linger in the air, unanswered but ever present. In the quiet corridors of rare book libraries, beneath layers of dust and time, rests a manuscript that has baffled scholars, cryptographers, and historians for centuries. Known as the Voynich Manuscript, this 15th century book remains one of the most perplexing and mysterious artifacts in the history of writing. Bound in parchment that has yellowed with age, the manuscript contains over 200 pages, filled with strange, indecipherable text and bizarre illustrations. Its very existence seems to challenge everything we know about written language, medicine, and botany. The manuscript's origins, purpose, and meaning continue to elude us, no matter how many experts have tried to crack its code. The Voynich manuscript gets its name from Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish-American antiquarian who purchased the manuscript in 1912. Before Voynich, the book had already passed through the hands of various owners, including the famed Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, who believed the manuscript to be the work of a 12th century sage, perhaps even of extraterrestrial origin. Though it has since been confirmed that the manuscript was written somewhere between the 15th and 16th centuries, its contents remain as cryptic as ever. The text of the Voynich manuscript is written in an unknown script, one that does not resemble any other known language, ancient or modern. Unlike other ancient texts, such as the Egyptian hieroglyphs or the cuneiform tablets of Mesopotamia, the symbols on the pages of the Voynich Manuscript offer no clear point of reference. They don't match any known alphabet, nor do they correspond to any identifiable writing system. The characters seem to follow an orderly yet unpredictable pattern, as though they are the product of a language unknown to mankind. Each page is filled with flowing, looping text, arranged in columns, but without any recognizable punctuation or spacing to suggest sentence structure. But it is not only the writing that defies understanding. The manuscript's illustrations add another layer of mystery. On some pages, you find strange diagrams of unknown plants that do not exist in any botanical catalog. These illustrations appear to be highly detailed, yet bizarre in form, resembling nothing we know from the natural world. Other pages depict figures of women, some with elaborate headdresses, others seemingly immersed in ritualistic or perhaps even medicinal tasks. One of the most peculiar features of the manuscript is a series of astronomical and astrological charts, which seem to show constellations and celestial bodies in unfamiliar arrangements. What is even more puzzling is that some of these symbols and images appear to have been created with an almost obsessive attention to detail, suggesting that whoever created them possessed both a sophisticated knowledge of various fields, medicine, astronomy, botany, and yet was using it to record ideas that do not correspond to any known civilization. For the better part of the 20th and 21st centuries, researchers and cryptographers have attempted to unlock the meaning of the manuscript's text. One theory suggests that the manuscript is an elaborate hoax created in an era when cryptography was a burgeoning field of study. Some claim that the Voynich manuscript is the work of a medieval forger or prankster who invented a completely fake language and filled the manuscript with nonsensical illustrations in an attempt to deceive or entertain. However, this theory doesn't explain the complexity of the text or the apparent structure of the language, nor does it account for the fact that many of the symbols used in the manuscript seem to follow a coherent pattern, as though they are part of a working language. Another, more plausible theory is that the manuscript contains a cipher, a code, or a hidden message, one that was meant to protect its contents from being understood by outsiders. Some cryptographers believe that the text may represent a sophisticated form of encryption, created by a secretive group or individual. If this is the case, the Voynich manuscript might be the key to some long-lost knowledge, a hidden treasure trove of esoteric wisdom that was intentionally concealed to protect its secrets. But deciphering this potential code has proven to be far more difficult than expected. Since its discovery, countless attempts have been made to decode the text using methods ranging from statistical analysis to computer algorithms, all to no avail. Some linguists have suggested that the manuscript might be an early example of a constructed language, similar to the artificial languages of the 19th and 20th centuries, like Esperanto. In this view, the author could have been experimenting with the creation of a new language, one that was never meant to be used outside the pages of the manuscript itself. However, while this idea may explain the bizarre, yet seemingly structured nature of the text, it still doesn't explain the manuscript's highly unusual illustrations, or the specific knowledge it seems to reference. Then there is the theory that the Voynich manuscript is not meant to be understood in any conventional sense at all, that it is, in fact, a form of medieval art or conceptual expression, created for aesthetic or spiritual reasons rather than intellectual ones. The manuscript may have been intended to be a visual experience, a series of cryptic images and symbols meant to evoke feelings, thoughts, or spiritual insights, rather than communicate any specific knowledge. In this view, the text could be intentionally nonsensical, designed to be a kind of visual puzzle or meditation, meant to provoke the imagination or trigger an altered state of consciousness in those who engage with it. One of the most tantalizing yet speculative theories about the manuscript's origin suggests that it could be the work of a woman named Lisa, a 16th-century alchemist or herbalist whose knowledge of plants and the occult could have led her to write in a secret language, one meant to preserve her esoteric knowledge for future generations. Some even claim that the manuscript might be the work of an alien or extraterrestrial intelligence, with its strange symbols and images representing a message or communication from beyond the earth. But no matter the theory, none have been proven conclusively. What remains clear is that the Voynich Manuscript is a puzzle that resists all attempts to solve it. Despite the advances of modern technology, including artificial intelligence and machine learning, no one has yet been able to decipher its text, and no one can say with certainty what it was meant to communicate. What knowledge did its author or authors intend to preserve? Was it a scientific document, a magical grimoire, or something else entirely? Was it a product of human ingenuity, or is it something beyond our understanding? Perhaps the greatest mystery of all lies not in the manuscript itself, but in the very nature of its secrecy. Why was it created? And why has it remained so elusive for so long? What do the strange symbols and images reveal about the mindset of the author or authors and the world in which they lived? And what, if anything, do these mysteries say about our own quest for meaning and understanding? As we continue to study the Voynich Manuscript, we are left to wonder if the answers will ever be uncovered. Could it be a forgotten key to understanding an ancient secret? Or perhaps, in the end, the mystery of the manuscript itself is the only true answer, a riddle designed to provoke thought and contemplation, but forever hidden from view. Deep in the heart of Iraq, among the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, a discovery was made in the 1930s that would ignite both intrigue and skepticism in equal measure. Buried beneath the earth in the modern city of Baghdad, archaeologists uncovered a small, seemingly ordinary object, a clay jar with a copper cylinder inside and a metal rod of iron or steel running through its center. To the untrained eye, it might have been a simple artifact, a relic of some long-forgotten civilization. But this object would come to be known as the Baghdad Battery, and it has since become one of the most puzzling discoveries in the history of ancient technology. The object itself is not particularly large, measuring only about 6 inches tall and 3 inches wide. It consists of a ceramic jar with a copper tube inserted into the jar's neck and a metal rod that runs down the center. The copper tube is corroded, but it's clear that it once fit tightly into the ceramic jar. When it was discovered in the ruins of Ctesiphon, an ancient Parthian city near modern-day Baghdad, it was believed to be little more than a curiosity, perhaps an ancient container for storing scrolls or a ceremonial object, like many others found in the region. Yet, the more scholars and scientists examined the artifact, the more perplexing its true purpose seemed. It was clear that this was no ordinary piece of pottery. The copper and iron components, when considered together, suggested something far more advanced. Could this simple jar have been capable of producing an electric charge? Could it have been an early battery, a rudimentary source of electricity, crafted by a civilization long before the discovery of electricity as we know it? The very thought seemed absurd at first, yet the idea quickly gained traction. The Baghdad Battery became an artifact that seemed to defy its time, a technological enigma hidden in plain sight. While it is impossible to know for certain what the ancient creators of this object intended, the idea that the Baghdad Battery was used as a primitive galvanic cell, a simple device capable of generating electricity, has garnered considerable attention. The theory, first proposed by German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig in 1938, posits that the object could have been used for electroplating. Electroplating, a process in which a thin layer of metal is deposited onto a surface using an electric current, was first documented in the 19th century, but Koenig suggested that the knowledge of this process might have been known to the people of ancient Mesopotamia, specifically the Parthians. The concept is not entirely outlandish. The Baghdad Battery, when filled with an acidic liquid, such as vinegar or lemon juice, could have created an electrochemical reaction. The copper tube would have served as one electrode, while the iron rod inside the tube would have acted as the second. The liquid electrolyte would have facilitated the flow of electricity between the two, creating a modest electric charge. The size of the battery and the weak current it would have produced suggest that it would have been useful for small-scale applications, such as electroplating or perhaps even for generating a spark to ignite fire in ceremonial contexts. But was this truly the case? And if so, how could a civilization as ancient as the Parthians have understood the principles of electricity long before the advent of modern science? The idea that the Baghdad Battery might have been used for electroplating while compelling raises even more questions. If the Parthians were capable of creating a device that could produce electricity, why did they not leave behind more evidence of such technology? Why are there no records or artifacts that suggest they had knowledge of electrical science or engineering? Moreover, if this was indeed a battery, why would it have been buried in the ruins of Ctesiphon rather than preserved and passed down as a technological wonder? These questions have led some skeptics to dismiss the idea of the Baghdad Battery as a mere coincidence, a misinterpretation of an object that was not intended to function in any technological sense. Alternative theories abound, with some suggesting that the artifact could have had a purely ceremonial or religious purpose. Perhaps it was not a tool at all, but rather a symbolic object designed to represent the power of divine forces. After all, Mesopotamian cultures were deeply involved in religious and spiritual practices, and objects of power, whether symbolic or actual, were often created with the belief that they could connect the material world with the divine. In this interpretation, the Baghdad Battery could have been used in rituals, as an object meant to convey power, energy, or enlightenment, rather than a functional device. Some even propose that the object was used for medicinal purposes. In ancient cultures, there was a long history of using electric fish and certain minerals for therapeutic reasons, based on the belief that electrical currents could have a healing effect on the human body. The Baghdad Battery, with its apparent ability to generate electricity, might have been employed as a tool for such treatments, though there is little evidence to support this idea. But then, there are the more speculative theories, which delve into the realm of the extraordinary. Some proponents of ancient astronaut theories suggest that the Baghdad Battery may have been an artifact left behind by extraterrestrial visitors, an object designed by beings far more advanced than the human civilizations of ancient Mesopotamia. The idea is that these visitors might have shared their knowledge of electricity and energy with the people of Earth, providing them with the means to create devices like the Baghdad Battery. This theory, though highly controversial, reflects the ongoing fascination with the idea that advanced knowledge or technologies might have been imparted to ancient cultures from beyond the stars. Even more speculative are the claims that the Baghdad Battery could be a remnant of a forgotten, advanced civilization that predated the Sumerians, the Babylonians, and the Parthians. Could this object be a relic of an unknown culture, one that possessed knowledge of electricity long before it became a part of human understanding? Some theorists argue that the ancient world might have experienced technological dark ages or lost civilizations whose knowledge of science and engineering was wiped out by catastrophe, leaving behind only the occasional cryptic artifact. Could the Baghdad Battery be one of these lost remnants? A glimpse into a forgotten past? As with many ancient artifacts, the true purpose of the Baghdad Battery remains a matter of debate. Some scholars maintain that it was simply a container, perhaps used for storing scrolls, medicines, or other valuable items. Others believe it may have been used for a very different, more mysterious purpose, one that we may never fully comprehend. Its age, Its strange design and its potential functionality all suggest that it might be far more than a simple artifact, but the lack of conclusive evidence leaves us with no way to definitively answer the questions it raises. What if the Baghdad Battery is not an anomaly, but an early example of a forgotten technology, lost to the sands of time? Could ancient civilizations have known more than we give them credit for, developing forms of energy or understanding far ahead of their time? Or is the Baghdad Battery simply an object caught in the web of misinterpretation, a symbol of our own fascination with the past and our tendency to overcomplicate ancient mysteries? In the end, the Baghdad Battery stands as a testament to the mysteries of history, a small, enigmatic object that continues to provoke wonder and speculation. Its true purpose may never be fully understood, but its legacy remains. What knowledge, lost or hidden, might still be waiting to be uncovered in the ancient ruins of the world? And what other secrets lie buried beneath the surface waiting for someone to ask the right questions? In the high deserts of southern Peru, nestled among the arid foothills of the Andes, lies a region that has long intrigued archaeologists and adventurers alike. Here, amidst the windswept valleys and jagged hills, a curious collection of stones has been found, each etched with intricate carvings that seem to defy conventional understanding. These are the Ica Stones, a series of over 15,000 carved stones that have sparked debates, skepticism, and wonder since their discovery in the 1960s. But what secrets do these mysterious stones hold? Are they relics of a forgotten civilization, or do they point to a deeper, more extraordinary past? The stones themselves are unassuming in appearance. Most are smooth, oval-shaped, and about the size of a small fist or a large melon. They are made of a type of volcanic rock known as andesite, which is abundant in the region. The carvings on the stones are varied, yet consistent in their theme. Many of the stones depict detailed images of dinosaurs, creatures that went extinct millions of years before humans are believed to have appeared on Earth. There are depictions of humans riding dinosaurs, and some stones even feature scenes of surgeries, medical procedures, or astronomical charts. There is no doubt that the carvings are deliberate and intricate, but the question remains: who created these stones, and what were they trying to convey? The Ica Stones first came to public attention in the 1960s when a local farmer, Atilio Alvarez, began to sell them to researchers. Alvarez claimed that the stones were found near his farm in the Ica Valley, and he was not the only one. Other locals also came forward with similar finds. The stones quickly caught the interest of researchers, most notably Dr. Javier Cabrera, a Peruvian doctor and scholar who became obsessed with the Ica Stones after acquiring a large collection. Cabrera was convinced that the carvings represented an ancient, highly advanced civilization, one that had existed long before the time of the Inca, and that this civilization had knowledge far beyond what we might expect from prehistoric humans. Among the most striking features of the Ica Stones is their depiction of dinosaurs. Some stones show humans interacting with these creatures, riding them, hunting them, or even in scenes that suggest cooperation or mutual understanding. Such images are baffling, as they contradict everything we know about human history. According to mainstream science, humans and dinosaurs did not coexist. Dinosaurs went extinct approximately 65 million years ago, while humans only appeared around 200,000 years ago, long after the age of the dinosaurs had ended. So, how could a civilization that existed thousands of years ago have known about these creatures? One possibility is that the carvings are simply the work of a primitive artist who had a vivid imagination, or perhaps they represent mythological or symbolic creatures rather than actual dinosaurs. After all, many ancient cultures created stories and artwork featuring fantastical beings, dragons, serpents, and other creatures that could be loosely interpreted as dinosaur-like. Perhaps the Ica Stones are a form of ancient mythology or a cultural expression, not a record of actual history. However, there are a few key details about the stones that complicate this explanation. For one, the level of detail in the carvings is striking. The dinosaurs depicted on the stones are not crude representations. They are highly detailed, and in some cases, the carvings even show anatomical features that suggest a sophisticated understanding of biology. One of the most famous stones shows a scene in which a dinosaur is being surgically operated on, an image that some believe depicts an advanced medical procedure. Could these carvings be records of a civilization with knowledge of both paleontology and surgery, two fields that seem anachronistic for ancient peoples? Another curious feature of the Ica stones is their depiction of advanced technology. In addition to the dinosaurs, some stones show intricate images of what appear to be flying machines or ancient airplanes. These representations look remarkably similar to modern depictions of aircraft, with clear outlines of wings and fuselages. Some stones even depict what appear to be spacesuits, suggesting that the people who created them might have had knowledge of space travel, an idea that seems almost inconceivable given the period in which these stones are believed to have been made. So, what could these stones mean? The mainstream explanation for the Ica stones is that they are either hoaxes or artifacts of limited historical value. Many scholars believe that they were carved by local artisans in the 20th century, using knowledge gleaned from books or images of dinosaurs and modern technology. This view holds that the stones were deliberately created as a form of artistic expression, or perhaps even as a way to capitalize on the curiosity of foreign researchers. Some suggest that they were intentionally created to attract attention and gain financial reward, but there has been little evidence to support the idea that this was the case. Still, the skeptic's explanation does not entirely account for the unusual details on the stones, nor does it explain how such a large number of these carved stones could have been produced without some form of collective knowledge or cultural context. The patterns and precision of the carvings, along with their remarkable consistency, suggest a purposeful design, one that is difficult to dismiss as a mere artistic exercise. For those who embrace the more speculative theories, the Ica stones represent something far more extraordinary. Some suggest that the stones are evidence of a long-lost, technologically advanced civilization, one that predates the Inca and perhaps even the Egyptians. This civilization, they argue, possessed knowledge of dinosaurs, advanced surgery, and technology that was either passed down through the ages or lost due to some kind of cataclysmic event. In this view, the Ica stones may be a form of ancient knowledge, preserved in stone, that we are only beginning to understand. Even more fantastical theories propose that the Ica stones could be evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Could these carvings be the product of ancient beings who visited Earth, leaving behind symbols and images that were far beyond the capabilities of early humans? The idea that ancient civilizations might have had contact with beings from other worlds is a concept that has gained traction in recent years, though it remains highly speculative and controversial. As we look at the Ica stones, we are confronted with more questions than answers. Who created them? What knowledge did they possess, and how did they come by it? Were they simply artists, creating an imaginative record of their world, or were they recording something far more significant, something that has been lost to history? And, if they did possess such knowledge, what happened to their civilization? How did it vanish, leaving only these cryptic stones behind? The Ica stones remain an enigma, a relic of a past that seems to reach beyond our understanding. Theories may come and go, but the stones themselves continue to stand, silent witnesses to a mystery that refuses to be fully explained. What other secrets lie hidden in the stones, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered? What stories are still waiting to be told, etched into the surface of these ancient rocks? The answers, like the stones themselves, may remain buried beneath the sands of time, leaving us to wonder just how much of our past we still fail to grasp. In the remote wilderness of Russia's Ural Mountains, among jagged cliffs and thick forests, lies an intriguing mystery, one that challenges our understanding of history and technology. These mountains, home to ancient rock formations and hidden caves, are also the site of a strange discovery, a series of tiny metal objects that seem to defy the timeline of human civilization. Known as the Ural metal micro-objects, these minute artifacts have sparked both fascination and skepticism, leaving many to wonder, what were they, and who could have created them? The objects were first discovered in 1991, when a team of researchers led by Alexander Koltupin, a geologist at Moscow State University, began investigating the region. They were exploring the area around a site known as the Chelyabinsk region, a desolate stretch of land rich in natural resources and mineral deposits. The team was primarily interested in studying the geological formations of the Ural Mountains, but it was during their fieldwork that they stumbled upon something far more enigmatic: small metallic fragments scattered throughout the area, many of them buried deep within the soil. The objects themselves are unassuming in size, often no bigger than a grain of sand. Despite their minute dimensions, however, the precision and craftsmanship of these tiny pieces are remarkable. Some of them appear to be finely shaped metal spheres, others are cylindrical, while a few resemble tiny gears or components with interlocking parts. All of them are made from a variety of materials, including metals like copper, brass, and even an alloy that contains zinc and other rare elements. Yet, despite their small size, these objects display a level of engineering that seems far ahead of what we would expect from the time period in which they were supposedly created. The most puzzling feature of these objects is their apparent age. The objects were found embedded in layers of ancient rock, some of which are estimated to be over 300 million years old, long before the advent of human civilization. In fact, according to mainstream archaeological timelines, humans had not yet evolved at the time these objects are believed to have formed. So, how could metal objects, clearly shaped and crafted with a precision that suggests advanced knowledge, exist in such an ancient context? The discovery of these metal micro-objects has sparked a variety of theories. Some scholars have suggested that they are nothing more than natural formations, perhaps minerals that have been shaped by geological processes over millions of years. The idea is that these objects might be the product of erosion or the crystallization of certain metals, which might have taken on shapes that appear purposeful but are, in fact, entirely coincidental. However, the problem with this theory is the sheer complexity of the objects. Some of the micro-objects found in the Ural Mountains show features that are undeniably man-made, such as smooth edges, drilled holes, and internal structures that resemble mechanical components. In particular, a small, disc-like object with a perfectly round hole in the center has led many to question whether these could be some form of early technology designed for a purpose that we do not yet understand. Another widely discussed theory is that the objects are relics of an ancient, unknown civilization, one that predates all known human cultures. This theory suggests that a highly advanced society, perhaps one with the knowledge of metallurgy and engineering far beyond what we associate with early human history, once existed in this part of the world. This lost civilization, they argue, could have been capable of creating these objects, which were then buried over time by geological processes or natural disasters. For some proponents of this idea, the presence of these metal micro-objects is evidence of an advanced technology that was either destroyed or forgotten in the distant past, perhaps during a cataclysmic event, such as a meteor strike, a massive volcanic eruption, or even the collapse of an ancient civilization that was far more technologically sophisticated than we realize. The presence of such objects, they argue, could suggest that humanity's history is far more complex and older than we have been taught. Could the Ural metal micro-objects be the remains of this forgotten technology, preserved in the rock for millions of years, awaiting rediscovery? The idea of ancient, lost civilizations possessing advanced technology is not new. Many cultures have legends of ancient cities, often referred to as lost civilizations, that are said to have been destroyed in some catastrophic event. The idea that the Ural metal micro-objects could be remnants of such a civilization, one that possessed the ability to create intricate, miniature machines or components, raises fascinating questions. Could these objects be the remnants of an ancient technological age, whose knowledge was lost to time? Another intriguing theory is that the Ural metal micro-objects are somehow connected to extraterrestrial life. Some researchers have suggested that the precision and material composition of the objects suggest that they were not created by humans at all, but rather by beings from another world. These proponents of the ancient astronaut theory argue that extraterrestrial visitors might have arrived on Earth millions of years ago, leaving behind evidence of their advanced technology in the form of these tiny, mysterious objects. The idea that alien life could have interacted with Earth in such a distant past challenges our conventional understanding of both science and history, but it continues to captivate the imagination of many. As with many ancient mysteries, the lack of definitive evidence leaves the Ural metal micro-objects open to a range of interpretations. Despite the efforts of scientists, geologists, and archaeologists to study the objects and determine their origin, no clear consensus has emerged. Some suggest that the objects may simply be artifacts of human activity, though their age seems to defy this idea, while others maintain that they could be the product of natural processes that mimic the shapes of man-made tools. Yet, there is one undeniable fact. The Ural metal micro-objects exist, and they continue to challenge our understanding of the ancient world. The question remains, how could such objects, so intricately designed, appear in rocks that are hundreds of millions of years old? Was there an ancient civilization that had access to knowledge or technology that we have yet to comprehend? Or are these objects a clue, not just to a lost civilization, but to a much deeper mystery, one that might forever remain hidden beneath the surface of the Earth? For now, the Ural metal micro-objects remain an enigma, a riddle that defies easy explanation. As more discoveries are made, we are left to wonder, what other secrets might lie buried in the mountains, waiting to be uncovered? And what might these small, mysterious objects reveal about the true nature of our ancient past? The answers, perhaps, are still out of reach. But they remain, tantalizingly close, hidden in the rocks and the sands of time. In the heart of Romania, nestled between the Transylvanian Alps and the Danube River, lies a discovery that has perplexed archaeologists, geologists, and historians alike. Deep in the valley of Aiud, a quiet region that has long been the backdrop to tales of medieval castles and ancient folklore, a peculiar artifact was uncovered in 1974. It is known as the Wedge of Aiud, and while it is a relatively small object, measuring just 20 centimeters, about 8 inches in length, it carries with it an unsettling mystery, one that casts doubt on our understanding of human history and technological development. The wedge itself is unremarkable in appearance at first glance. Made of a grayish metal, it has the shape of a roughly triangular wedge, one side tapering to a sharp point while the other appears to have been broken off, as though it had once been part of a larger object. The surface of the wedge is etched with distinct markings, geometric patterns that, at first, seem as if they could belong to a tool, a piece of machinery, or even a mechanical component. It is the material, however, that raises the most questions. Unlike typical metals found in ancient artifacts, the Wedge of Aiud is made from an alloy that does not appear to belong to any known period in human history. The object was discovered by a group of workers who were excavating the riverbed of the Moorish River, near the town of Aiud as part of a routine construction project. Initially, they thought little of it, assuming it to be a piece of scrap metal or an old tool, but when the artifact was later studied by experts, it became apparent that it was far older and more unusual than anyone could have expected. Early analysis revealed that the metal composition of the wedge was unlike anything known to have existed in the region during the time the artifact was purportedly buried. The wedge was found buried alongside the remains of mammoths, suggesting that it was entombed during the Pleistocene epoch, more than 100,000 years ago. The dating of the Wedge of Aiud, based on the geological strata in which it was found, is what makes this object so controversial. According to conventional archaeology, humans did not possess the advanced metalworking technology needed to craft such an object during the Pleistocene. The earliest known use of metals by humans dates back to the Copper Age, roughly 6,000 years ago, with the forging of copper tools. And yet, here was an artifact made of an unknown alloy, seemingly buried long before human civilization could have produced such advanced metalwork. How could a piece of machinery or metal object of this sophistication have been buried with creatures that went extinct over 100,000 years ago? Mainstream scientists have offered several possible explanations for the Wedge of Aiud. Some suggest that the object might have been misplaced in the wrong geological layer. It's possible, they argue, that it was simply buried later in history and got mixed with the remains of mammoths during the excavation process. In this view, the artifact is nothing more than an anachronistic piece of metal that ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, an artifact of a much later date than originally thought. If this is the case, it would not be the first time that human-made artifacts were found in unexpected locations, but it raises the question, how could something so distinctively out of place be so precisely crafted? Other scholars have proposed that the wedge is simply a natural formation, an oddity created by the forces of erosion or some kind of geological process that shaped the metal over millennia. The fact that the metal has been exposed to the elements for thousands of years could account for its unusual appearance, they suggest. Yet this theory does little to explain the precision of the wedge's design. The markings on its surface are too deliberate, too systematic to suggest that it is a natural formation rather than a crafted object. Another explanation that has been put forward is that the wedge might be a piece of ancient technology, a relic from a forgotten civilization far more advanced than anything we associate with the ancient world. Some proponents of this theory suggest that there could have been a lost civilization in antiquity that possessed knowledge of metallurgy and mechanical engineering far beyond what we thought possible for its time. This ancient civilization might have created the Wedge of Aiud, a tool or mechanical part, and left it behind, buried in the sediments of the earth. If true, this would be a profound challenge to our understanding of human technological development, suggesting that advanced technology might have existed tens of thousands of years before recorded history. This theory leads into more speculative territory. Could the Wedge of Aiud be evidence of a civilization that predated even the most ancient known cultures, such as Sumer, Egypt, or the Indus Valley? Or perhaps it was a remnant of some other, entirely unknown civilization, a society that vanished long before the rise of agriculture or cities. Could this civilization have been destroyed in a cataclysmic event, leaving only rare fragments of their technology buried in remote corners of the earth? If this theory holds any weight, it raises the possibility that humanity's true history might be far older and more complex than we have been taught. An even more fringe theory suggests that the Wedge of Aiud could be a remnant of extraterrestrial technology. Proponents of this idea argue that the advanced metallurgy and precision of the object point to an origin beyond Earth. The idea of ancient astronauts visiting our planet and leaving behind evidence of their presence is a theory that has captured the imagination of many. In this context, the Wedge of Aiud could be a piece of technology from an alien civilization, perhaps left behind during a long-forgotten visit to Earth. While this notion remains highly speculative and unsupported by concrete evidence, it continues to intrigue those who look for alternative explanations for the mysteries of our past. Despite the myriad theories that have been proposed, one thing remains certain. The Wedge of Aiud has never been fully explained. Its age, composition, and design remain as enigmatic as the day it was uncovered. The object sits, as if frozen in time, challenging us to rethink what we know about history, technology, and human achievement. Was it a piece of lost ancient technology, a forgotten artifact of a long-lost civilization? Or is it something far more inexplicable, a mystery that continues to elude our understanding? As we ponder the Wedge of Aiud, we are left with more questions than answers. Could the secrets of this small, triangular object hold the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of our own past? Or is it simply another puzzle, an artifact that has slipped through the cracks of history, forever hidden from view? The Wedge of Aiud, like so many other ancient objects, reminds us that there is still much we do not know, and perhaps never will, about the distant and mysterious history of our planet.